Welcome to the skyscraping world. When the Dragonblood Legion arrived, the leader of the original devil race, Yu Xiaoqian's mother, personally came to greet them. Senior is too courteous. We came here to seek refuge. For you to treat us so grandly will embarrass us. Long Chen smiled. In truth, even if Long Chen didn't return to the Xiantian Dao sect, he still had several other places he could go. One was the Wine God Palace. If he sought protection with the Wine God Palace, no one would dare to touch him. However, that wasn't too suitable. The Wine God Palace was supposed to be separated from the rest of the world's struggles. Long Chen didn't want to draw the Wine God Palace into the whirlpool around him. He could also bring the Dragonblood Legion to the spirit world. However, the barrier between the spirit world and the martial heaven continent was very powerful. Each time they moved between them, it would take a huge amount of energy from the life god tree. So the skyscraping world was the best place for Long Chen to go right now, so he had brought the Dragonblood Legion here. However, he was a bit overwhelmed that Yu Shihan would personally welcome them. There is no need for such courtesy between us. However, if I didn't show my friendship to the number 1 Legion of the Martial Heaven Continent's first visit, I would appear too rude. Next time you come, I won't personally welcome you. Yu Shihan also smiled, appearing poised and graceful. Yu Xiaoqian stood behind her. The two of them were like sisters. Aunt, why didn't I see the great prophet? Long Chen looked around. Everyone he had seen on his last trip here was present, except the old prophet who had touched his face. Yu Xiaoqian's eyes reddened slightly. Last time, her grandmother had tried to see the future of the original devil race from Long Chen's body. She had used a divine ability, but the backlash had exhausted all her life energy. She had already passed. Oh, she is still in seclusion and cannot come out to see you, said Yu Shihan apologetically. I was just curious. After all, as the junior, I have to greet her. But since she's still in seclusion, I'll have to wait for another time to pay my respects, said Long Chen. However, he definitely sensed something off with Yu Xiaoqian's expression. But this wasn't a matter for him to pursue. Everyone, please come in. Yu Shihan waved a hand, indicating that everyone could enter. Senior, we know you're very busy. There's no need for you to waste time on keeping us company. Yu Xiaoqian can show us around, said Long Chen. That's good too. You youngsters probably have more words to say. I wouldn't want you to feel constrained by my presence. Xiaoqian, you're the host. Make sure to carry out your duties properly. Yu Shihan seemed to see through Long Chen's intentions. Due to her presence, Long Chen and the others were more reserved. Leaving things to Yu Xiaoqian, she left with the original devil race's elders. Isn't it said that all the original devil race's men look like bloodthirsty fiends and monsters? Why don't they seem like that at all? Only once Yu Shihan and the others were gone did Guoran curiously look at the other original devil race experts. Xia Qin immediately pushed him, meaning that he should shut up. That was too rude. Long Chen smiled slightly and said, We're all one family, so you don't need to have such misgivings. The original devil race that you know is a fabricated story. There are many things in this world where the truth has become false, and what is false has become truth. It's difficult to determine the difference. History is always written by the winners. They glorify themselves and make their enemies ugly. So true and false must be determined by ourselves, not just by listening to others. Even what you see might not be true, so use your heart to judge and your head to analyze. That's too complicated. We'll just follow boss. Once boss becomes a god, we'll follow and become gods as well, becoming a divine army. If boss becomes a devil, we'll become devils too. As long as our lives are still as brilliant as now, who cares? Boss, what do you think of this bootlicking of mine? Chortled Guoran. Alright, stop messing around. We'll rest here for 3 days. Once those 3 days are up and everyone's back in peak condition, we'll be going to a trial by fire, said Long Chen. What trial by fire? Long Chen looked at everyone. Before advancing to the Life Star realm, I want to excavate everyone's potential once more. Our skyscraping world has a devil blood pool that can replicate a clone of you. It will possess the same power, the same techniques, and the same spiritual yuan as you. Hence, you'll be fighting against yourselves. Before this, you were facing enemies, and you had the confidence to win for sure. But this time, you'll be facing yourselves. The stronger you are, the stronger your clone will be. I'm giving you a mission. Each person must be able to defeat themselves 3 times before breaking through to Life Star Realm. 3 times? That's impossible. Yu Xiaoqian was startled. Beating oneself required great bravery. After all, you were fighting yourself. You might even lose yourself and be unable to tell who was who. It could easily form a heart devil, and you might even feel an urge to kill yourself. The trial of the devil blood pool wasn't to beat yourself, but to make you face your heart devil. Those who could defeat themselves were too rare. Even Yu Xiaoqian had challenged it several times at the beginning and only managed to have a draw. As for other experts, they were judged by how long they could last. That would determine how strong their mental realm was. Lasting an incense stick's worth of time was the passing grade, 2 incense sticks worth of time was excellent, 3 incense sticks worth of time made you a genius that would be heavily favored. Those who could last over 2 hours were the pillars of the original devil race. Yu Xiaoqian had lasted 4 hours each time, making her the greatest genius of the original devil race in many years. However, even she was unable to defeat herself. For Long Chen to want the Dragon Blood warriors to defeat themselves, and 3 times at that, was essentially heaven-defying. "It's fine, I believe that they can do it," said Long Chen. Guorant's expression suddenly changed. He seemed to foresee a miserable plight for himself. 3 days later, after resting, everyone other than Long Chen had finally recovered to their peak state. After consecutive life and death battles, their mental realms had once more advanced. Their cultivation bases were at the peak of soul transformation, and many people already felt the barrier to the next realm weakening. They already possessed the ability to attack the Life Star realm. During this time, Long Chen told Yu Xiaoqian to have the Huayan sect send a message to the old man, telling him that he was safe and to be at ease. As for Chu Jianying's side, she had Li Tianxian, and Li Tianxian understood Long Chen. He wouldn't worry about him. However, the old man might very likely be searching for him. With his temper, he might just charge straight over to Pill Valley and cause a fuss. Although the old man had a fiery temper, he was very protective and willing to sacrifice his own life for his children. Long Chen was worried about something happening to him. He told the old man that they had found a good place to go into seclusion and that they were preparing to attack the Life Star realm. Long Chen had no choice but to lie. If the old man knew that he had run to the original devil race and couldn't return home, he might explode in fury. After 3 days of rest, the Dragon Blood warriors were completely refreshed. They were now standing in front of a giant blood pool. Yu Xiaoqian introduced it, explaining that it was a relic from ancient times. Back then, the original devil race had slaughtered their enemies of the devil races, refining their devil cores and devil blood to create this miraculous devil blood pool. "Who wants to go first?" asked Long Chen. Boss Gu Yang definitely is unwilling to miss this chance. "I won't fight against him over it, or that would be a provocation toward the Dragon Blood Legion's #1 captain," said Guoran immediately. Guorant's arm had shot up, and at first, people thought that he was actually volunteering, making them wonder if the sun had risen from the west today. However, he ended up volunteering Gu Yang. Gu Yang's expression was dark. By calling him the #1 captain of the Dragon Blood Legion, he had no choice but to go. Gu Yang rubbed his bald head and took a deep breath. Clenching his teeth, he stepped forward, feeling great pressure. During these 3 days, he had learned more about the Devil Blood Pool and its abilities. He knew that for other people, this trial wasn't to be beaten. Normally, people's talent was judged by how long they lasted, as defeat was set in stone. Being the first one to challenge this trial, his results would affect the rest of the Dragon Blood Legion's morale. Not only that, but hundreds of experts from the original devil race were also watching. They were looking at them with worshipful expressions, wanting to see the power of the Martial Heaven Continent's #1 Legion. This was a rare opportunity for them. In this kind of scenario, being defeated would be embarrassing. So he couldn't be defeated. "Have you prepared yourself? If you're ready, then let's start." On the other hand, Long Chen was very relaxed. Gu Yang took out a spear. This was a battle spoil. It was a very good half-step divine item, and the weapon he was most used to. Start. Gu Yang took a deep breath. Yu Shaoqian pointed a finger. A blood-colored light came from the devil blood pool, enveloping Gu Yang. He vanished, and a giant bubble appeared in the pool. An ancient martial stage was present within it. Gu Yang's figure appeared on the martial stage. Not far from him, blood bubbled and a figure gradually condensed. It was another person who looked identical to Gu Yang. They really are the same. Even the brightness of their heads is identical, exclaimed Guo Ran. Like this, when the battle started, they wouldn't be able to tell who was who. Tang Wana chuckled. Even at such a tense time, Guo Ran was able to crack a joke. But it was true. The first things their eyes were attracted to were the two bright suns inside the bubble. Gu Yang's radiance was difficult to cover up, just as they stared in amazement at how alike this duplicate was. The fake Gu Yang's spear suddenly pierced forward, unleashing a shocking power. A pillar of blood qi soared into the sky. What? Upon seeing that blood qi, all the dragon blood warriors let out a startled cry. It even duplicated the dragon blood battle armor? The fake Gu Yang had summoned the dragon blood battle armor and was now covered in red dragon scales. With a roar, its spear pierced toward Gu Yang. Boom! Gu Yang's body shuddered, and he was sent flying by the fake Gu Yang spear. Blood dripped out of his mouth. He was filled with shock. What's going on? Why is it that the fake is even stronger than the true body? Exclaimed Guo Ran. Gu Yang was actually at a disadvantage. No, the fake Gu Yang has an identical combat power to the real one. However, the duplicated one has one advantage, and that is that it doesn't need a warm-up. It is in its peak state from the start. As for the true body, it needs to slowly accumulate power and raise it. That's one of the monstrous aspects of the devil blood pool. It's a bit unfair, but there's nothing we can do about it, explained Yu Shaoqian. Upon hearing this explanation, their confidence received a blow. This was practically cheating. For most people to unleash 100% of their power, they would need to unleash 3 attacks. The first attack would have 50% of their power, the second would have 80%, and only the third would have 100%. That was the safest and most perfect way of warming up. Of course, it was possible to use 80% on your first attack and then 100% perfect on your second, but without a warm-up, you might injure your meridians. As for using 100% from the start, first, ignoring how difficult it would be to do such a thing, even if you did pull it off, you might tear apart your meridians. Before injuring your enemies, you would have injured yourself, causing your power to drop. Then due to being injured, your attack would have less effect. However, this duplicate was able to ignore this rule and was instantly at full power. They were helpless over this cheating. No rules are perfect. The true body is at quite a disadvantage in this fight, so, Yu Shaoqian looked at Long Chen and didn't finish her sentence. Long Chen smiled. You don't need to give me face. You want to say that even one victory each would be a crazy dream? Yu Shaoqian covered up a smile. I wouldn't say it so directly, but yes. She had been very careful with her words to avoid giving a blow to Long Chen. She was trying to protect him. But Long Chen had long since been bruised by the blows of cruel reality. He was used to it. Actually, I encountered a similar trial in the immemorial path, but it was even crueler. This devil blood pool replicates 100% of the true body's power, while in that trial, it created an enemy with 120% of your power. Furthermore, you couldn't retreat or lose, or you would die, said Long Chen. 120% of the true body's power? Now everyone was shocked. They hadn't known that Long Chen had experienced something like that in the immemorial path. Then you won? Damn, that was a dumb question. If boss had lost, you wouldn't be standing here. Li Qi had just spoken when he realized he had misspoken. But boss, that's impossible. How is someone supposed to beat another version of yourself that is simply stronger? Asked Guo Ran. That made no sense. Then tell me, if there were 2 identical people, wouldn't their odds of victory be 50-50? Based on that logic, why is it that the original devil race's disciples practically never managed to defeat themselves in this trial? That's why you shouldn't try to use this logic, nor should you let this logic restrict your mind. I've previously told you that you have to keep your imagination in front of reality. Otherwise, you would have reached the end of your path and be unable to walk any further, said Long Chen. Yu Xiaoqian's eyes lit up. She seemed to have understood something. Long Chen saw that and smiled. As expected of the sacred daughter. You understood with just a hint. Yu Xiaoqian's comprehension skills were truly great. Long Chen had never seen anyone who surpassed her when it came to learning. Sacred Daughter was the title bestowed by the original devil race to their future leader. Both disciples and elders called her this. Rumbling rang out as Gu Yang's fight continued. It was growing increasingly intense. Has Gu Yang taken the advantage? Said Tang Wan'er with surprise. You're wrong, the one being beaten miserably is the real Gu Yang, said Long Chen. Tang Wan'er blushed. The two looked the same. I thought the one shouting was Gu Yang. Yu Xiaoqian said, it's normal to not be able to see the difference. The blood devil pool replicates the true body's habits as well. Gu Yang has a habit of shouting when he has taken the advantage, wanting to snowball this advantage into a victory and increase his opponent's mental pressure. The silent one was actually the real one, but it was the fake that had taken the advantage and was shouting in an identical way to how Gu Yang shouted in combat. Everyone stopped their cheering awkwardly. They didn't know what kind of emotion the current Gu Yang was feeling, but they guessed that it wasn't a good one. The distant experts of the original devil race didn't find this odd. What they were shocked by was Gu Yang's power. The two Gu Yangs were fighting with immense power that made it hard for them to breathe. Their fight eventually passed the 2-hour mark. Too powerful and too fierce. The original devil race's disciples were gobsmacked. Gu Yang's fight was so intense that it was making their own blood heat up. 2 hours is already the level of the strongest heavenly geniuses, and it seems he can still continue. As expected, the name of the Martial Heaven Continent's #1 legion isn't for nothing, praised one of them. He was one of the original devil race's core disciples, and he had managed to last a full 2 hours last time. However, past that mark, he had been instantly defeated. Back then, he had been on his last legs and had barely managed to bitterly hold on for this long. The original devil race only had 30-some people on his level. As for Gu Yang, his fight was still incredibly intense. Despite being suppressed, there were no signs he was about to give up. Gu Yang's been injured. Song Mingyuan suddenly let out a cry. Gu Yang's shoulder had been pierced by his opponent's spear. Blood soaked his upper robes. The fake Gu Yang was growing fiercer with its attacks, and it seemed to possess limitless power, making them suspect that it truly had greater stores of energy. Its aura wasn't weakening at all. Xiaoqian, is there any mortal danger to the blood devil pool? Asked Chu Yao. Don't worry, the devil blood pool is a treasure passed down from the ancient era. If someone is going to be killed, they'll be instantly transported out. There's no chance of dying, but being injured like this isn't part of the auto-protection system, said Yu Xiaoqian. She was also amazed by how Gu Yang had lasted for so long. The more time passed, the further victory seemed to be, and the harder it would be to continue fighting. Only those who had experienced the devil blood pool understood just how difficult it was. Gu Yang was going all out, but no matter what, he was unable to reverse the tides. The fake Gu Yang had completely suppressed him. He slowly began accumulating injuries and looked to be in great danger. However, Gu Yang was still brave, and sometimes he only narrowly avoided being struck in his vitals. If he was about to be struck in a vital spot, the trial would determine that he was about to die and would transport him out. The current Gu Yang was covered in blood, but his gaze was still sharp. He wasn't panicking at all. His spear was still steady. What a terrifying will. Even in such a hopeless scenario, he hasn't given up. Anyone else would have long since crumbled. The original devil race's disciples were watching with shock. It had already been another hour. Gu Yang's will was amazing. They knew what it represented for Gu Yang to still be fighting. He was currently in a hopeless battle, and it was practically torture. Boom. Suddenly, Gu Yang's spear went flying, and the fake Gu Yang's spear pressed against the real Gu Yang's head. However, at that moment, the devil blood pool transported Gu Yang out. Li Qi and Song Mingyuan immediately went to support him. He was pale and barely able to stand. He had used up all his energy but had still been defeated. Guoran, I'll give you a chance to show off in the greatest way possible in all of history. Do you want it? Long Chen suddenly sent a message to Guoran. To disappoint everyone, Gu Yang barely had the energy to speak. Is something wrong with this trial? The real Gu Yang is exhausted, but the fake one isn't even breathing hard. The difference is too great, questioned Li Qi. Gu Yang hadn't made any mistakes from the start. Even while suppressed, he hadn't given up a single chance to counterattack, but he was still defeated. In truth, the fake Gu Yang also doesn't have much energy. It's just that the fake won't act weak, explained Yu Xiaoqian. Gu Yang, you're very amazing to have lasted a full 4 hours. I'm ashamed of my own time. Yu Xiaoqian's best record was only half an incense stick's time longer than Gu Yang, and that was after she had challenged the devil blood pool several times. She had plenty of experience, while this was Gu Yang's first time. Suddenly, at this time, Guoran walked over with his chest puffed out, patting Gu Yang on the shoulder. It's fine, don't be depressed. If you've been defeated, then leave it to me. You. Everyone looked at Guoran with confusion. They even suspected that this Guoran was a fake. When they encountered any trial, Guoran would dodge it if he could. The Guoran that always rolled on the ground begging for release could also say something so heroic? It seems you've all misunderstood me. Do you really think I'm a coward? You question my bravery in challenging the devil blood pool? Sighed Guoran. No, I don't question your bravery in challenging the devil blood pool. Li Qi shook his head. Hee, that's right. Guoran nodded. I question whether you have any bravery at all. What the? Guoran almost coughed up blood. He loudly said, I'll tell you the truth. Before, I was intentionally acting cowardly. Do you know why? Everyone shook their heads, looking at Guoran suspiciously. Why was it that today's Guoran was like a different person? Had he been possessed? Guoran heroically announced, All right, then I'll tell you. I acted cowardly for Boss. In my heart, Boss is like a god. As they say, the sky cannot have two suns, and the people cannot have two masters. I don't want my light to overshadow Boss. Guoran. As your brother, I'm not trying to criticize you, but don't you think you're bragging a bit too hard? Do you even believe yourself? Ask your own conscience if you believe it, said Song Mingyuan. Ah, well, when you put it that way, Guoran suddenly felt that things had taken a turn, and that if he continued, he would be exposed. He glanced at Long Chen, who was looking at him contemptuously. Spiritually, he scolded, Stop messing around. If you don't have that skill, don't force it. There's no need for this. Just start your display. Guoran cleared his throat and said, All right, I won't joke. Gu Yang's defeat is because he lacked one thing. Inside his heart, he didn't feel confident in definitely winning. Why? Because he was facing himself. If he was facing anyone else, anyone from the corrupt path, the ancient races, the Xian beasts, even if they were equally matched in power, I believe that Gu Yang would definitely win. But because he has no other choice but to beat them. Defeat would signify death, and death would implicate the lives of even more of his brothers. A person can go all out against others, but going all out against themselves? That's the most monstrous aspect of the devil blood pool. It creates a duplicate of yourself, which makes you feel like it's unfathomable. It sees through your techniques, making you feel helpless. The lack of confidence you feel is the main problem. The duplicate of the devil blood pool will immediately use a warmed-up 100% power attack. That's actually a psychological blow. Using an attack that surpasses common sense will leave a shadow on your heart. A voice will repeat in the depths of your heart that you cannot possibly defeat your opponent. The moment that shadow appears, you'll already be defeated. Gu Yang only had any chance of defeating himself in the first hour. After that, as he grew weary, the shadow on his heart only expanded, and the effort of continuing to fight against that shadow exhausted more energy. That's why the fake Gu Yang seemed to still possess energy, but the real Gu Yang couldn't last any longer. After hearing all this, everyone's expressions changed. Guoran was previously only capable of saying some big nonsensical words, but now his words were all reasonable. In truth, you've been fooled by my outer appearance. I'm actually a very low-key person, but today, I'll show you my true self. Brothers, just prepare yourselves. I don't want my display to cause the whole world to know my great name. I want to maintain my original heart. Guoran stepped forward bravely toward the devil blood pool. I'll show you just how you should defeat yourself and your heart devil. Keep a close watch on my movements. I'll trouble Sister Xiaoqian to activate the trial for me. Everyone looked at each other, feeling like today's Guoran was very odd. Yu Xiaoqian looked at Long Chen and he helplessly nodded. Guoran had ended up adding some of his own poser spice into the plan that they had discussed, resulting in people not fully believing him. Guoran's figure vanished, reappearing in a giant bubble within the devil blood pool. He was standing atop an ancient martial stage, just like Gu Yang had. Guoran summoned his armor. Only his face was revealed. He had just appeared when another figure slowly condensed from blood mist not far from him. That figure was identical to Guoran, with even that wretched smile being the same. Long Chen couldn't help shaking his head. Even if you gave a monkey imperial robes, it wouldn't look like a prince. This kind of poser style didn't suit Guoran. He looked out of place, making Long Chen even regret appointing Guoran as the main character of this display. "Everyone, watch closely," shouted Guoran. His face also became covered in his golden armor. Suddenly, the opposing Guoran slashed its sabers. It was incredibly quick, like a golden bolt of lightning. The sudden burst of power came without any warning, none whatsoever, and its power instantly reached the pinnacle. Boom! Guoran raised his own sabers to block, only to be sent flying. He tumbled back, looking even worse off than Gu Yang. Guoran stabbed his sabers into the martial stage, creating 2 large cuts. He barely stabilized himself before the fake Guoran charged over. A pair of golden wings appeared on its back, and its sabers rapidly spun as it charged over. How powerful! Although the duplicate Guoran was using the same techniques as Guoran, its battle style was different. It was fiercer. Guoran was forced back, but his power began to rise bit by bit. Suddenly, with a cry, the fake Guoran came to a stop and was then forced back by Guoran. The two of them both retreated at the same time. After blocking the first wave of attacks, raise your power to your peak. Whether the other side is your enemy or yourself, crush them. Guoran went on the offense, facing his opponent's attacks with his own. 2 golden monstrosities were clashing crazily. Their colliding weapons and mechanisms were like thunder, while their bodies were like golden lightning. Do you still remember what Boss said? If you want to get stronger, you need to find a reason to get stronger. Why do you want to be strong? Have you already forgotten? It's to protect those we cherish in our hearts. No matter who our opponent is, even if it's a god or devil, they can't be allowed to take away the people we love. Our lives aren't our own. If they want to kill us, then they want to harm our beloved. Even if we're facing ourselves, we have to erupt with our fury. Roar and proclaim that we are undefeatable. Guoran shouted as he fought. His voice contained a metallic sound to it. The current Guoran seemed to have been possessed by Long Chen, having a kind of domineering air to look down on the 9 heavens. He crazily attacked his opponent, but the two of them were equally matched. Neither side was able to suppress the other. Erase the fear and apprehensions inside your heart. Don't be suppressed by your opponent. This is just the first step. In this kind of state, you'll simply be fighting over who runs out of energy first. You'll only have a 50% chance of winning. However, what we want isn't 50% but a 100% chance of winning. At this time, we have to fight with our true power. We are the great Dragon Blood Warriors, the #1 legion of the Martial Heaven continent. We have our own pride. Each day, we have to do everything we can to get stronger. We're stronger than we were yesterday, we're stronger than we were an hour ago, we're stronger than we were a minute ago. We have to be stronger than we were a blink ago. As for our opponent, it's just a replicated version that won't get stronger. We get stronger with each breath. So tell me, what reason do you have to not win? Guoran's sabers suddenly blazed with light. He seemed to go crazy, unleashing a tempest of attacks. His aura gradually rose even higher, and his armor grew brighter. He seemed to be undergoing some kind of transformation, and he was actually constantly forcing his opponent back. So that's how. Li Qi clenched his fist, feeling his blood heating up. He wanted to go try this trial right now. Continuous rumbling rang out as Guoran went all out. His opponent was constantly knocked back. The distant experts of the original devil race were staring with shock, their own blood heating up. In the past, they had felt too much reverence for the devil blood pool, and the idea that the only thing they could do was last longer against it had become a deep-rooted belief. They had stopped believing that they could defeat themselves. Now that Guoran was showing them the way, their minds became clear. They saw an unprecedented world for themselves. No matter who it is, those who block me will die. Guoran roared and slammed his sabers together. His opponent, who was still reeling from the previous blow, had its neck severed by Guoran's dual sabers. Boom! Guoran's opponent's head was severed. However, at that moment, the martial stage vanished and Guoran was transported out. Guoran's armor disappeared, revealing himself. The current Guoran was covered in sweat, but he was filled with excitement. Haha, brothers, I can only help you out this much. As for whether or not you understood, it's all up to you. Guoran's legs failed him, and he almost collapsed. Although his fight had lasted less than an hour, he was exhausted. He needed Li Qi to go support him. After placing Guoran in a chair, Li Qi praised him. Guoran, I'm fully convinced. So you were actually hiding your true self so well. Don't worry about it. Brothers, go out and fight. No matter who is in your way, crush them. Guoran forced himself to shout despite his lack of energy. Following that, the Dragon Blood warriors charged into the Devil Blood pool one by one. Yu Shaoqian activated the automatic trial mechanism, so now anyone that entered the Devil Blood pool would automatically be drawn into their own trial. One martial stage appeared after another, and furious roars rang out as the Dragon Blood warriors went all out. Their battle intent was fully ignited by Guoran. Looking from the Dragon Blood warriors fighting to the original Devil race's experts that couldn't help but look at him worshipfully, Guoran felt like all his pores had been fully opened. He felt like he might ascend at any moment. This feeling was indescribable. Boss, you treat me too good. This is my greatest moment. Guoran looked at Long Chen worshipfully. What happened? Why was it so difficult? Asked Long Chen. The two of them were speaking spiritually to prevent others from hearing. Boss, it was my mistake. I forgot to remove some of the mechanisms. I almost ended up screwing myself, said Guoran. The plan had been for Guoran to remove some of the hidden parts of his armor, weakening it. When the Devil Blood pool duplicated him, his armor would still be missing those parts. Since Guoran's armor was a physical object, it couldn't duplicate what had been lost. After the duplication, Guoran could simply add the portions that hadn't been duplicated. The Devil Blood pool was for normal experts, but Guoran was too special and could easily trick it to pass. It was just that Guoran had been so focused on showing off that rather than taking off the 7 parts he had planned, he had gotten caught up in his words that he had forgotten the last 3 parts. As a result, the duplicated Guoran was only a bit weaker than his true self. Fortunately, he had still managed to beat it. Hearing this, Long Chen sighed. I find that showing off is the only motivation that can make you go all out. Normally, you would have definitely lost. I think the same way. So showing off is the thing that can stimulate my potential. I really admire myself. Guoran nodded. Long Chen glanced at him without saying anything. After succeeding in showing off, he would become even more of a show-off in the future. However, that wasn't necessarily a bad thing. Each person pursued different things. What worked for others might not work for someone else. However, boss, will this really work? Those duplicates are too powerful. Facing myself gave me a weird feeling that made fighting very difficult, said Guoran worriedly. That's because your will isn't strong enough. Don't think others are like you. Do you think others live off of showing off like you? Said Long Chen disdainfully. Boom. Yu Zifeng was the first to return. He had already succeeded in defeating his opponent. Those disciples of the original devil race were shocked. It had only been a minute, but Yu Zifeng had already won. After being transported out, Yu Zifeng didn't hesitate. He entered the devil blood pool again, once more appearing outside in under a minute. Now the original devil race's experts' eyes almost popped out of their heads. Yu Zifeng was practically a monster. Just as they were shocked, Yu Zifeng entered the devil blood pool and returned once again. "I've completed your mission." Yu Zifeng smiled. Long Chen nodded. The will of a sword cultivator was truly terrifying. Their will was concentrated in their sword, and they had to possess an undefeatable will to control an undefeatable sword. Even without Guoran's display, Yu Zifeng would have passed the devil blood pool. Sword cultivators were madmen, or they wouldn't be able to devote their hearts purely to the sword. The original devil race's disciples had never seen anything like this. Furthermore, this was just one of the Dragonblood Legion's captains. Now they understood why the Dragonblood Legion was called the Martial Heaven Continent's #1 Legion. They were monstrous. At this time, Li Qi also returned. However, he was covered in blood and was panting. Although he won, he had paid a price. Haha, satisfying, really, satisfying. Li Qi laughed. Although he was short of breath, he was still smiling. Yu Shaoqian also returned. At some point she had also entered. Her shoulder was bleeding, but she was smiling delightedly. "Long Chen, I finally beat it," exclaimed Yu Shaoqian, holding Long Chen's hand. "I knew you would be able to figure it out with just some pointers. But next time, be careful. If you get injured here, I'll get hurt here." Long Chen pointed to Yu Shaoqian's shoulder and then his own heart. Although he knew being injured in battle was unavoidable, he still felt some pain. "Yes, I'll pay more attention in the future." Yu Shaoqian blushed slightly, looking down. But she was happy inside. Another person returned. Long Chen jumped in shock. "Little miss, just what are you up to?" It was Tang Wan. She was now covered in blood, and even her face was covered in cuts. Although they rapidly healed, the blood remained. "He, I won." Tang Wan made a victorious gesture and an adorable face. Long Chen suddenly hugged Tang Wan, startling her. She knew Long Chen was distressed by her current appearance. "You don't need to pass the trial. Your wind blades are like a whirlwind of thousands of blades." "It's too bloody," said Long Chen. "No, I am also a member of the Dragonblood Legion. I'm not going to become deadweight. Don't worry, I'll look after myself. Getting a bit injured will just toughen me up." Tang Wan'er held Long Chen's face in her hands. After saying that, Tang Wan'er and Yu Shaoqian circulated their heavenly Dao energy to recover and prepare for the next challenge. After all, not everyone was as monstrous as Yu Zifeng and capable of maintaining their peak condition the entire time. Yu Zifeng was capable of mercilessly slaying even himself. That was one reason why most sword cultivators were lonely, aloof figures. Most of the Dragonblood warriors managed to win, but some failed. Facing oneself was too difficult. But after resting, they tried again. To maintain the maximum effect each time, they always recovered to their peak condition before attempting it. "Boss, how about you try it as well to raise their morale?" asked Guoran. Long Chen shook his head. "This kind of trial is meaningless to me now." Long Chen had stealthily tested the Devil Blood Pool before, only to find that Evil Moon, his Dragon Blood battle armor, and even his Paragon arts were unable to be duplicated. Not even his World Extermination Flame Lotus could be duplicated. The Dragonblood warrior's Dragon Blood battle armor could be duplicated, but not his. It was very strange. In this kind of state, he could only fight with his bare hands to challenge himself, which was useless. Furthermore, the Azure Dragon Essence Blood was constantly strengthening his physical body, so this trial couldn't help him at all. As the Dragonblood warriors challenged the Devil Blood Pool, within a distant high tower, Yu Shihan and some core elders of the original Devil race were watching. "This Long Chen has toppled our understanding of the Devil Blood Pool as soon as he arrived. No wonder he is able to turn everything on its head in the Martial Heaven continent. He truly is a monstrous existence," said one of the elders. "The original Devil race has a deep relationship with the 9-star heirs. Long Chen's fate is tied to our original Devil races, and this is the start of our resurgence. Long Chen's arrival will cause huge changes. Perhaps one day, we will be able to break the martial heaven continent's bindings and merge with the original devil races of other star fields, said Yu Shihan. Race leader, Long Chen brought a lot of heavenly Dao fruits this time, and many of them are on the Empyrean level. This matter is too big for us to handle, so we need your guidance, said the elder. In the Yin-Yang world, rivers of blood had flowed. Many great geniuses had died during the battle. Long Chen had mountains of the heavenly Dao fruits, which were more than enough to turn every member of the Dragonblood Legion into an Empyrean. He had then distributed a portion to the heaven-splitting battle sect, sending them through the Huayan sect, while another portion was left with Li Tianxian. The rest were for the original devil race. Not only were there over 2,000 on the level of Empyreans, but there were also over 1 million of the level of rank 9 Celestials. That was enough to raise a terrifying army that could fight on the martial heaven continent. There's no rush. Go back and choose a portion of our elite disciples to form a supreme army. Once they mature, we'll be able to fight the martial heaven continent. Yu Shihan looked into the distance with a smile. She seemed to be able to see the day that the original devil race could return to the martial heaven continent. As time passed, more and more of the Dragonblood warriors passed the tests. They managed to defeat themselves 3 times in a row. However, some of them failed many times. They might win the first time and then lose the second, and so they had to start over. Even if they won twice but lost the third, they would have to restart. This was a condition that Long Chen had tacked on. It could be considered a challenge with a heaven-defying level of difficulty. Each time they beat themselves, their power and will would rise. However, the next time they tried the trial, their opponent would have grown equally strong. To defeat themselves 3 times in a row, they had to constantly grow stronger. That was incredibly difficult. Long Chen was trying to draw out all their potential. In theory, this method was impossible, but Long Chen had never really believed in theory. His principle was to raise his saber and fight to the death. There were no reasons or excuses needed. All he had to do was win. After 3 days, half of the Dragonblood warriors had managed to pass the 3 consecutive win condition. Some of them even challenged themselves over and over again to break through their limits. The Dragonblood Legion's power shook the original devil race's disciples to the core. The difference between them was immense. Some of them also started challenging the Devil Blood Pool. This time, they weren't fighting for time but to win. Very quickly, some of them also managed to defeat themselves, stimulating the rest of them. Countless disciples began to attempt the trial. Time passed by bit. Most of the Dragonblood warriors managed to pass, but hundreds of them were now in a deadlock. They were constantly growing stronger, but so were their opponents. They couldn't win. Long Chen gathered those Dragonblood warriors. They were ashamed. They had all managed to beat themselves twice in a row but lost on the third. They were angry enough to curse. Having been specifically gathered by Long Chen, they were ashamed of themselves, as well as nervous, feeling like they had disappointed their boss. You are all excellent. The reason you weren't able to pass isn't because you aren't strong enough, but simply because you were unlucky. It's actually not a bad thing, said Long Chen. Boss, you don't need to comfort us, said one of the Dragonblood warriors. I'm not skilled in comforting others, only randomly hacking them. Long Chen smiled. That drew out a smile from them. Long Chen looked over at them. Having bad luck isn't a bad thing. This is a truth that I have profoundly experienced. My luck has always been terrible and I would often complain about it. However, complaining had no use. It was only later that I realized that whether or not something is good depends on how you look at it. A lucky person has a smooth path, but after succeeding 999 times, all it takes is one failure for them to stumble and fall miserably. I'm sure with your experience, you know about the so-called high and noble heavenly geniuses who look down on others. Their good luck makes them succeed easier than others, which fosters a condescending attitude of looking down on others. Before encountering you, they always succeed, but after encountering you, they were killed with a single stroke of a blade, their good luck coming to an end. On the other hand, someone with bad luck will fall 999 times, but it only takes one success for them to soar. Their failures temper their will and mental realm, and once they step into a higher realm, their failures will become a solid foundation. One is a solid foundation, while the other is rootless duckweed. That's why you shouldn't be resentful of failure. Look at it from another point of view. Calm yourself down and find the source. Guoran suddenly raised his hand. Boss, I understand. You're saying that failure is the mother of success. Even if I fail 999 times, all I have to do is try again. Long Chen nodded. Yes, if you try again, you can get an even 1,000. Guoran almost coughed up blood. Boss, what are you saying? What I just said doesn't apply to you. A fellow like you with no willpower or integrity doesn't follow this logic. If you want to say that failure is the mother of success, then you are definitely infertile, said Long Chen. Boss, my heart. Without 100,000 spirit crystals? No, without 1,000,000 spirit crystals, I'll never recover. Guoran lay like a ball on the ground without the slightest air of an expert. Guoran was the clown of the Dragonblood Legion. He liked to mess around, but he was able to raise everyone's mood. Fine, you win, I'll give you the money when we get back. Let's talk for real, said Long Chen. Speaking to everyone, he said, being angry over this is meaningless and won't solve your problems. At this time, you have to learn some new techniques. However, what I'm about to teach you, you cannot show to the heaven-splitting battle sex people, or they'll definitely beat you. For the heaven-splitting battle sect, power was everything. If you couldn't beat your opponent, it just meant that you weren't strong enough. They wouldn't try to use any trick because that was a waste of time, a distraction from getting stronger. First, he had to make sure that what he was about to say wouldn't reach the old man's ears. Only once everyone nodded did Long Chen continue. The Devil Blood Pool's rules are dead, while people are alive. You know your own weaknesses, and those weaknesses are duplicated. What if in the middle of battle, you were to break your limit by creating a new technique that is unique to you? You can come up with a completely deviant technique adapted to your weaknesses. In the end, the goal of battle is to eliminate your opponents. It doesn't matter if you use a crotch kick, an eye jab, a nose hook, as long as it works, it's fine. To tell the truth, back in the Eastern Wastelands Phoenix Cry Empire I had an exceptionally good crotch kick that knocked out quite a few balls. Tang Wan'er and the others turned away, their faces red. Long Chen's final words were a bit too crude. Chu Yao and Meng Qi both covered their smiles. Back in the Phoenix Cry Empire, Long Chen truly had often used this move. In fact, he had once used just this one move to take victory on the martial stage. Boss, we understood. We weren't flexible enough, said one of the Dragonblood warriors. Exactly. Rules are dead, but people are alive. Do you remember the Fate Princes that flustered Chong Hao and Bao Buping? 2 of you were able to kill 2 Fate Princes easily. Why is that? Because people need to know how to break conventions, or others will use their experience to play you to death as you follow the same patterns over and over again. We don't play by those rules. If someone wants to play chess with you, just break the chessboard, said Long Chen. Meng Qi and the others were speechless. When Long Chen was evil, was there anyone more evil than him? The things he could come up with were chilling. Boss, we understand. Then go. Those Dragonblood warriors once more charged into the Devil Blood Pool. This time, their battle style had clearly changed. People quickly ran back, exclaiming their victories. Don't get happy too soon. You'll only be able to use each move once because it will be duplicated the next time. You need to constantly think of new techniques on the fly. Furthermore, make sure to win because as time passes, your opponent will only grow more evil as you do, said Long Chen. Those Dragonblood warriors felt their excitement vanish without a trace. They focused and ran back to the trial. However, with just this one warning, they once more passed. They were constantly thinking of how to create a new method to target their own weaknesses. The Dragonblood warriors all started challenging the Devil Blood Pool again, wanting to use this chance to think of new techniques. There was no risk to their lives and they could gain more experience. They were like divine weapons being constantly sharpened by the Devil Blood Pool. With each day they made progress. They could clearly feel themselves getting stronger. Influenced by the Dragonblood warriors, The disciples of the original devil race also joined in. Another week passed, and the Dragon Blood warriors had all passed. After that, Long Chen took out a batch of heavenly Dao fruits, making the warriors who weren't yet Empyreans refine them. Due to their immense experience with refining the heavenly Dao fruits, it only took them a single day to refine them. Now the Dragon Blood Legion was composed of Empyreans. Over 12,000 Empyreans were standing together. Their powerful auras caused heaven and earth to tremble. Long Chen felt a grand feeling in his heart. He had raised this unrivaled army. Brothers, let's go. We're undergoing tribulation. Long Chen suddenly waved his hand, bringing the Dragon Blood Legion out of the skyscraping world. Above the martial heaven searing, everyone from the Dragon Blood Legion was gathered. They were a bit nervous, as well as excited. They all felt the barrier in front of them weakening. They were just one step away from advancing to the Life Star realm. As long as they underwent the lightning tribulation, they would become Life Star experts. However, they knew that with Long Chen, their lightning tribulation wouldn't be the same as other people's. They would challenge the strongest kind of heavenly tribulation. This would be a battle. Other than the Dragon Blood warriors, Yu Shihan had also come. Looking over them, she said, "The Life Star realm condenses the energy of your Yuan spirit and Dantian together. By borrowing the energy of heavenly tribulation, you condense your Dantian's formless qi into a solid entity. The two kinds of energy will form an astral space inside you. From then, you won't need to rely on spatial rings. This astral space is your Life Star bead. However, you will condense two Life Star beads. One will represent the past, and one will represent the future. Essentially, all experts will choose to extract the Life Star bead of their past, because what they want is a new start for their future. That way, their mental realm will become like a sheet of blank paper, and they can rewrite what they want while abandoning what they don't, making their future cultivation even easier. However, Long Chen has told me that all your past experiences are very important to you, so you won't abandon the Life Star bead of the past. Then what you need to do is merge the two Life Star beads together. Doing such a thing requires much more tribulation lightning and will require a powerful will from each of you. This is something very dangerous. One reason is because heavenly tribulation can't be controlled. If it's not strong enough, you will fail to merge your two Life Star beads. The other reason is that doing such a thing has high requirements when it comes to your willpower, Yuan spirit, and spiritual strength. You have to prepare yourselves. Long Chen and the others had never experienced the Life Star realm, but Yu Xian was explaining some things that they needed to take note of. Don't worry, we actually have plentiful experience when it comes to heavenly tribulation, said Long Chen. Even as the leader of the original devil race, Yu Shihan had never heard of over 10,000 people undergoing tribulation together. Long Chen always did things that others would never do. She was a bit worried, but he seemed confident. Yu Shihan nodded and led away a dozen experts of the original devil race. They made sure to distance themselves but be close enough to watch. Although Long Chen was confident, she still wasn't at ease. Although Long Chen was a 9-star heir, such a crazy action could not be controlled. If something unexpected happened, the results would be unimaginable. Despite that, Yu Shihan respected Long Chen's choice. She led her people further away and activated a grand formation to conceal them. That way, they wouldn't be sensed by the heavenly Daos. If there was something wrong, they might be able to help. Should we open the spatial watching channel? Asked one of the experts she had brought. Yu Shihan nodded. That's a good idea. Let the disciples see how the Dragon Blood Legion undergoes tribulation. Even if things go wrong, they might be able to learn something. That expert formed hand seals, and a giant channel appeared behind him. It was like an eye watching the Dragon Blood Legion in the distance. Within the ancestral lands of the original devil race, a giant projection appeared in the sky. The figures within that projection were Long Chen and the others. The disciples of the original devil race looked up to watch. Even the disciples still attempting the devil blood pool stopped to watch. What are they doing? Could it be? Those disciples stared, dumbfounded. They thought of something that they didn't dare to imagine. Begin. Let's not waste any time, said Long Chen. Boom. The Dragonblood Legion's people unleashed their auras. Pillars of light soared into the sky as they all began attacking the Life Star realm at the same time. As they broke through the barrier, the sky darkened and black clouds covered the sky. The world became silent. My eyes are being opened to the world. I've never seen such a terrifying lightning tribulation. The scope is even greater than when I advanced into Nether Passage, said one of the original Devil Race's experts. After passing through the mental journey part of advancing to the Nether Passage realm, success meant returning and undergoing heavenly tribulation. But even Nether Passage experts were stunned by this tribulation. Although the strength of the tribulation wasn't as great, the scale was even greater. Kill! However, the next scene made those Nether Passage experts dumbstruck. All the Dragonblood warriors suddenly began to attack the tribulation clouds that were gathering. Are they crazy? Cried one of the Nether Passage experts. They were actually attacking heavenly tribulation? Wasn't that becoming enemies with the heavenly Daos? Did they even care about their lives? Over 10,000 attacks struck the tribulation clouds, creating a large hole in the middle. The tribulation clouds surged, seemingly furious. They regenerated, growing denser. However, the Dragonblood warriors' attacks didn't stop. There, one of the original Devil Race's experts sighed but swallowed his last two words. However, everyone knew that he was about to say that they were courting death. This truly was suicide. Even Yu Shihan frowned. Although she knew that the original Devil Race had a connection to the 9-star heirs, she wasn't qualified to know those secrets. So she couldn't comprehend what Long Chen was currently doing. As the Dragonblood warriors attacked, the clouds grew thicker, and it was like a magical beast had been provoked. Heavenly might crashed down from the sky. Suddenly, blinding lightning flashed amongst the originally dark clouds. It was like a sea of lightning falling from the sky, and it enveloped the Dragonblood Legion. Within that sea of lightning, the roaring of lightning beasts could be heard. Lightning beasts have already appeared in the first wave? The first wave of the tribulation was the weakest and was usually to leave room for people to get used to the lightning. The strength of the rest of the tribulation could be seen by the first wave. Normally, lightning beasts would only appear at the end. Kill! The Dragonblood warriors raised their divine items, slaughtering these lightning beasts. The lightning beasts transformed into lightning runes that were absorbed by the Dragonblood warriors. As they absorbed the lightning, their dantians began to change. They shrank, and the energy of their Yuan spirit and spiritual strength was absorbed by their dantians, gradually condensing into a small. That small dot was the embryonic life star bead. As it grew larger, it would become the true life star bead, and then it would fracture into two. For most cultivators, all they needed to do was take out the life star bead of their past so that they could continue with their life star bead of the future. That would create its own astral space, and they would have advanced to the life star realm. However, Long Chen wanted everyone to merge their life star beads that would fracture them back into one, combining their past and future. That required a huge amount of tribulation lightning energy, as well as Yuan spirit energy and spiritual strength. Now they didn't need to worry about the amount of lightning tribulation energy. They crazily absorbed it. Long Chen was also immersed in the lightning. Lei Long was floating behind him, but it only devoured any fellows that attacked it. Lightning on this level was no longer able to interest it. Long Chen didn't attack the tribulation clouds. He was waiting for everyone to absorb enough energy. He looked at Yu Shaoqian in the crowd and saw that there were more lightning beasts attacking her. That meant that she really was rejected by the world, and so she was receiving special treatment. More and more lightning beasts appeared, and they grew larger and more powerful. However, the Dragonblood warriors were still able to easily handle them. Cloud had taken human form and was also fighting alongside everyone else. She was using a sword and was able to kill the lightning beasts easily, but her movements were stiff. She clearly wasn't too used to her human form. However, if she wanted a greater comprehension of the heavenly Daos, she had to get used to it. It would be greatly beneficial. That was because humans were the most spiritual of life forms. Although the Xian beasts possessed terrifying bodies, they weren't as close to the heavenly Daos, and those closest to the heavenly Daos had the highest chances of ascension. So the experts of the Xian beasts all had to get used to human forms. As for the human race, they also had flaws and were extremely envious of the Xian beasts' powerful bodies, thinking them to be the strongest. However, if the Xian beasts really were the strongest, why would they choose to take human form? So foolish people really had different brains than normal people. They were simply incapable of communicating. 2 hours later, the lightning beasts were so powerful that they were comparable to 12th rank magical beasts. The Dragon Blood Legion was starting to find it taxing. However, it wasn't that they weren't strong enough to fight them, but that they were distracted by having to condense their life star beads at the same time. Lei Long helped them out. "I'll let you have some good food in a bit." Long Chen waved his hand, and Lei Long roared. A giant lightning sphere shot out. Lei Long roared, unleashing an attack. A giant lightning sphere shot out of its mouth and then exploded in the air. It transformed into lightning swords that slew the lightning beasts. These lightning beasts were nothing to Lei Long. Because they came from the same source, the divine lightning that Lei Long had absorbed made its thunder force far stronger than these lightning beasts. In a competition of power against power, Lei Long was like a tempered blade, while these lightning beasts were like cabbages. There was a qualitative difference between the two of them. The Dragon Blood warriors might be having some trouble with these lightning beasts, but they were easy to handle for Lei Long. The Dragon Blood warriors were delighted by this help. They focused the majority of their attention on merging their 2 life star beads. Being distracted was troublesome, and this help lifted quite a bit of pressure off of them, so they could now focus on their life star beads. Lei Long once more roared, and a giant arc of lightning shot out, forming a wave that slaughtered the lightning beasts. They were instantly shattered into lightning runes. That was a shocking sight. The original Devil Race's disciples were stunned by the lightning dragon that Long Chen had summoned. The method that the Dragon Blood Legion used to undergo tribulation was shocking. "It seems my worries were for nothing," said Yu Shihan. "You can't be too sure of that. Long Chen is daring, but when the blood gets to his head, he might not think of certain details. Being careful is still best," said one of the elders. Time passed bit by bit. A willow image appeared amongst the Dragon Blood Legion for a moment, but then it vanished. Lu Rian had been using her human form to undergo this tribulation, but for some reason, she had suddenly manifested her true body for a moment before withdrawing it. "This genius of the Undying Willow race has broken through," said Yu Shihan, looking at Lu Rian. "The Undying Willow is a very strong race. I didn't expect them to actually appear on the Martial Heaven continent and join the Dragon Blood Legion," said one of the elders. "This is Long Chen's charisma. He's able to make his followers follow him unto death. Their devotion is so great that it even looks a bit foolish, but this is the human heart. He is willing to risk his life for others, so others will risk their lives for him. That's why the Dragon Blood Legion's power, unity, and fearlessness have resounded throughout the Martial Heaven continent. Even his enemies have no choice but to admit that the Dragon Blood Legion is the continent's #1 legion. The only inexplicable thing is the legend about the 9-star heirs. They are supposed to be aloof, lonely figures who go against the world on their own. If Long Chen didn't possess the 9-star Hegemon body art, I'd suspect that he wasn't a 9-star heir," said Yu Shihan. Long Chen's existence didn't quite match the records written by her race. Rumbling rang out and the world suddenly became multicolored. "It's the 5-colored tribulation lightning," exclaimed an elder. "Troublesome. The Dragon Blood Legion has yet to fully merge their 2 life star beads," said a worried elder. "It's still fine." Long Chen's expression is still calm. "He probably came prepared," said Yu Shihan. The 5-colored tribulation lightning crashed down like a flood. One after another giant lightning beasts came down, each larger than a mountain. They charged out of the 5-colored lightning and at the Dragon Blood Legion. These lightning beasts condensed of 5-colored lightning were incredibly powerful. Just their roars caused people's souls to shake. They possessed immense heavenly might, which was the will of the heavenly Daos, making it so others wouldn't even dare to resist. Even the Nether Passage experts were feeling fear now. This kind of terrifying heavenly tribulation was something that they didn't want to touch. They had originally come to prepare a grand formation that could unite their force, so that if something unexpected happened to Long Chen and the others, they could transport them back to the skyscraping world. That way, the lightning tribulation of the martial heaven continent would vanish. This was a way of tricking the heavens. However, if they wanted to do this, they would have to wait until the Dragonblood warriors finished merging their Life Star beads, or they would never be able to advance to Life Star. The Dragonblood warriors were at a critical moment, but now this 5-colored lightning came crashing down on them. That had surpassed the limits of what the original devil race could possibly control. If they tried to interfere, their lives would be in danger. The only thing that gave them the slightest bit of comfort was that Long Chen wasn't panicking at all as he was immersed in the 5-colored lightning. He allowed it to wash over him, drinking it in. As for the Dragonblood warriors, they actually didn't show any fear in the face of this heavenly might. They were completely focused on merging their Life Star beads. This heavenly might didn't give them much pressure. They had been going against this kind of heavenly might since they had known Long Chen, and they already possessed a certain resistance to it. This allowed the Dragonblood warriors to continuously maintain their calm. Lei Long suddenly roared, transforming into a giant. Shockingly, this giant was an image of Long Chen. This is, the original devil race's expert's pupils shrank. This lightning giant version of Long Chen stabbed a spear through the air, tearing through the void. A 5-colored lightning beast was instantly pierced through. However, the lightning spear didn't stop at all. It continued, killing all the lightning beasts in its path. Nice, Lei Long. Long Chen smiled. Lei Long had a lightning spear in hand and giant lightning wings on its back. That was Long Chen's peak combat state. In the lightning field, Long Chen had made Lei Long learn the Sundering Lightning Heavenly Wings and the Wild Lightning Soul Battle Spear, as well as told it to teach him once it mastered those techniques. In truth, Lei Long was able to display these Lightning Paragon arts on its own. However, without Long Chen's cooperation, it couldn't connect to the lightning field, causing their power to sharply drop. However, now Lei Long was using the power of divine lightning against these 5-colored lightning beasts. These 5-colored lightning beasts were fundamentally unable to block it. Just as Long Chen was praising Lei Long, a small flame dragon flew around Long Chen's neck and rubbed Long Chen's cheek. "Ha, you're also amazing. You're both amazing." Long Chen rubbed Hua Long with his hand, comforting this jealous little fellow. Hua Long was also powerful, but Long Chen only had alchemy arts in his pill sovereign memories. His flame control arts were all for refining pills, not fighting with flames. He had to admit that when it came to fighting with flames, he was slightly inferior to Hua Lion. It seemed that he would need to learn more flame arts in the future. After all, the heir of a pill sovereign couldn't be lacking such skills. Hua Long was like a spoiled child curling around Long Chen's neck to show its own existence. Long Chen comforted Hua Long as he watched Lei Long fight. The giant that Lei Long had transformed into was slaughtering the 5-colored lightning beasts. They were transforming into runes that the Dragonblood Legion was absorbing. Boss is mighty, Lei Long is domineering. The Dragonblood warriors cheered. The 5-colored lightning runes were many times purer than the previous runes. They could now focus on absorbing the energy of this lightning to merge their 2 Life Star beads. The 5-colored lightning runes were rapidly speeding up this process. That lightning dragon actually possesses divine power. "It's inconceivable," said Yu Shihan, looking at the lightning giant. Perhaps others weren't able to sense it, but she was clearly able to sense a divine attribute to it. Although it was very weak, she couldn't be wrong. "Ha! I'm the first." Gu Yang let out a heaven-shaking roar. He hadn't managed to win any face against the Devil Blood Pool, but now he was first to break through. He had to take back his first-place spot. After all, he was the Dragonblood Legion's first captain. "You're second." Lu Rian glanced indifferently at Gu Yang. Fuck." Only then did Gu Yang notice that Lu Rian had completed her advancement. Her hands were now on Chu Yao's back, and she was helping her merge her life star beads. If Big Sister Meng Qi didn't lend a portion of her spiritual strength to you, let alone being first, you might not even be able to merge them. Lu Ruyan shook her head. Gu Yang's spiritual strength was extremely weak, and although it had grown stronger upon reaching the soul transformation realm and condensing a Yuan spirit, he was still at the bottom of the Dragon Blood Legion. He was even worse than Guo Ran. It was Meng Qi who lent her spiritual strength to Gu Yang so that he would have enough spiritual strength to merge his 2 life star beads. Cough, if you always talk like this, you won't have any friends in the future. Gu Yang's face was a bit red as he awkwardly rubbed his head. Lu Ruyan really wasn't giving him any face. Lu Ruyan didn't pay him any more attention and focused on helping Chu Yao. Other than Chu Yao, Lu Ruyan didn't like talking to others. Everyone was already used to it. Well, I can't help anyone, so I'll go kill those lightning beasts. Feeling like he had lost face, Gu Yang hastily found an excuse to get out of this awkward position. Lei Long was easily slaying the lightning beasts, however, when Gu Yang joined in he had some difficulty. Even going all out, it took over 10 blows to kill one. How are they so strong? Gu Yang was startled. Without the power of divine lightning, he had no innate advantage over these lightning beasts. Following Gu Yang, Meng Qi also finished the merger. Although she had lent some of her spiritual strength, she had so much that she was able to finish very quickly. Following which Yu Zifeng, Yu Shaoqian, Tang Wan, and the others also finished and joined the battle. Boss, I feel like Guo Ran sent a message to Long Chen. He clearly couldn't last much longer. Stop finding excuses. If you need someone else to help you, your previous display at the Devil Blood Pool would be a lie, replied Long Chen. All right, I'll persevere. Thinking of how glorious he had been at that time, he couldn't get himself exposed now. Clenching his teeth, Guo Ran continued with the merger of his life star beads. More and more Dragon Blood warriors managed to finish and join the battle. Hence, Yu Shihan and the others felt a weight fall from their minds. At this time, the Dragon Blood warriors were absorbing the energy of the 5-colored lightning to expand their astral spaces and make them stronger. This was the best time to condense strong astral spaces. However, Long Chen's next words astonished them. Everyone, stop absorbing the tribulation lightning's energy, and definitely don't condense your astral space yet. Wait for everyone to finish the merger. Then we'll proceed with the next step. After merging the life star beads, the astral space would naturally appear. This astral space could be likened to an embryonic minor world. Condensing an astral space also indicated that you had advanced to the life star realm. At this time, they needed to absorb as much thunder force to strengthen their astral spaces. The more thunder force they could absorb, the larger their astral spaces, and the more world energy they could produce in the future. Moreover, the 5-colored lightning was an extremely powerful tribulation. This kind of lightning was something that not even every Nether Passage expert faced. This kind of powerful lightning would cause one's astral space to become much larger. It was several times more effective than regular lightning. It would usually only appear in a Nether Passage expert's tribulation. It was very rarely seen in the Life Star realm. The original Devil Race's experts had come to the conclusion that Long Chen had ordered the attacks against the heavenly tribulations specifically for this 5-colored lightning. Just as they were feeling praise for his foresight, Long Chen's shout left them dumbfounded. He actually didn't want people to absorb this 5-colored lightning? Boss, I really can't do it. Please lend me some spiritual strength. I feel like my head is going to split open. Look, Big Sister Meng Qi helped Gu Yang. So how can you let me lose face? Pleaded Guo Ran. Long Chen was speechless. Although Guo Ran's spiritual strength wasn't special, it wasn't so terrible. He definitely had the power to pass on his own. However, his willpower was too weak. He felt like he was out of energy when in truth, he had at least 40% of his spiritual strength that was still untapped. His laziness resulted in him not excavating his own potential. However, Guo Ran had never been a person with great willpower. Or perhaps it should be said that his willpower was never used on cultivation. Helplessly, Long Chen stealthily gave Guoran a bit of spiritual strength. He even had to make it so that the others couldn't sense it. In the whole Dragon Blood Legion, less than 100 people had yet to finish their merger. They were all in the final stages though, so Long Chen had no choice but to help Guoran. Guoran's body suddenly lit up and his aura changed. That was a sign of finishing the merger. After the merger was complete, he seemed to become another person, no longer looking as pitiful as before. Looking at the warriors that had yet to finish, he called out, "Brothers, are you all right? To wait for you, I suppressed myself as much as I could, but I couldn't hold it any longer. Work hard. Success is just a little bit away. Remember, we're the strongest warriors of the martial heaven continent, and nothing can stop us." As Guoran shamelessly cheered on the warriors that had yet to finish, Long Chen sighed inside. However, very quickly, the final Dragon Blood warrior finished the merger. "Xiaoqian, attack the tribulation clouds," said Long Chen. "Me?" Yu Xiaoqian jumped in shock. She was from the original devil race, and the heavenly Daos of the martial heaven continent rejected her. She was already getting special attention from this tribulation. If she attacked it, the consequences were unimaginable. "That's right. Go ahead, I'm here if you need me," said Long Chen with a smile. Yu Xiaoqian suddenly thought of when she had undergone tribulation in the immemorial path. Back then, because of 4 mysterious experts interfering, she had almost died during her tribulation. She had barely passed, and in his fury, Long Chen had attacked the lightning tribulation, enraging the heavens and even forcing those 4 mysterious experts to flee. At that time, the heavens had chained Long Chen and bound him. However, he had torn apart the very fabric of the heavens. That was the moment Yu Xiaoqian's heart was completely won by Long Chen. Seeing his smile, Yu Xiaoqian also smiled. As long as Long Chen was present, there was nothing to fear. Her devil seal appeared on her forehead. After that, a ray of sword chi shot out at the heavens, accompanied by the specific energy of the original devil race. The tribulation clouds were torn apart by Yu Xiaoqian's attack. After seeing that, the expressions of Yu Shihan and the rest of the original devil race completely changed. The original devil race's experts were different from the Dragon Blood warriors. They were rejected by the heavenly Daos. As expected, the heavens went calm for a moment, and the 5-colored lightnings slowly faded away. The tribulation clouds began to quietly brew. In the end, giant black lotus flower clouds began to bloom, forming dense layers in the sky. At the center of each lotus was flickering lightning. A terrifying pressure grew. Yu Shihan and the others let out startled cries. Divine lightning! The lightning contained in these lotus flowers actually contained divine pressure. Even Nether Passage experts felt fear. This wasn't a matter of having the guts to face it, as this was a spiritual suppression. Divine lightning was for ascending experts. In front of this divine might, it was impossible not to feel fear. The sacred daughter, the Nether Passage experts turned pale white. Yu Xiaoqian was the hope of the original devil race. If she died, what would happen? At this time, Yu Shihan calmed down surprisingly. The fate of the original devil race was already intricately linked to Long Chen. Thinking of how smoothly things had gone until now, she felt it was a bit laughable to be so worried. She had already made her choice. She would leave everything to Long Chen. Suddenly, the lotus flowers exploded, and lightning rained down like sharp swords. The Dragon Blood warriors' bodies were blown apart, their flesh becoming a mangled mess. Even the Dragon Blood battle armor was unable to block this. Each drop of lightning was like a bomb. Lei Long returned to its dragon form, wanting to devour this lightning. This was something that it really wanted. "Lei Long, go eat to the side. Leave the middle to the others," called out Long Chen. Although Lei Long didn't like it, it went to the edges to devour the leftover lightning. The center was for the Dragon Blood Legion. "Don't worry, now isn't the time for your meal. Let others eat first," comforted Long Chen. To everyone else, he shouted, "This lightning contains divine energy, so protect your heads. Use it to nourish your astral spaces." Each drop of divine lightning was like a bomb, causing their flesh to explode. If it was someone else, A single drop would be enough to kill them. Despite how much physical damage the lightning was doing, it would always transform into incomparably pure lightning energy after striking their bodies. Even without having to do anything, their bodies' astral spaces would automatically absorb it. If they actually focused on absorbing it, then the energy of this divine lightning would surge toward them like a flood, filling their astral spaces and making them grow. 1 meter, 3 meters, 10 meters, the astral spaces were like tiny worlds, while they were the masters of those worlds. They could clearly sense some kind of energy form a connection with them from this world. As their astral spaces grew, that energy grew stronger. Although they were still unable to use that energy, they could sense that they were rapidly growing stronger. The larger their astral spaces, the stronger they grew. I want to get stronger. Gu Yang suddenly roared and spread his arms as if to embrace this world. He allowed the torrent of lightning to fall on him as he crazily absorbed the divine lightning. Be careful! Long Chen suddenly shouted and flicked a finger. A lightning arrow shot out, knocking aside a drop of the divine lightning that was about to strike Gu Yang's head. Fool, make sure to protect your vitals. Otherwise, you might die. Due to his excitement, Gu Yang had forgotten just how dangerous this divine lightning was. If this divine lightning shattered his skull, it might cause his Yuan spirit to dissipate. My bad, boss. Gu Yang blushed and properly protected his head. The majority of the Dragon Blood warriors were able to endure this torrent of lightning. However, the healing experts were in a miserable state. They were wood cultivators, and despite also possessing the Dragon Blood battle armor, their physical bodies were too weak. Each drop blasted bloody holes in their bodies. If 3 drops landed at the same time, they would be in danger of dying. They were carefully blocking with their wooden staves, doing their best to make sure the lightning landed on them 1 drop at a time. Fortunately, their recovery abilities were amazing. Guoran, are you trying to get your armor destroyed? Shouted Long Chen at Guoran, who had tried stealthily putting on his armor. Feeling like he was at his limit, he had summoned his armor to cheat, but as a result, 2 large holes appeared in his armor in an instant. But, what buts? As long as I'm present, you won't die, so hurry up and absorb the lightning, ordered Long Chen. Guoran felt helpless. Not even his armor could save him now. Each drop of the lightning was covering him in blood, breaking his bones. However, he actually acted tough and didn't make a sound. His previous attempt at showing off had ended up going so well that he wanted to prove to everyone that he had only been acting cowardly before. If he became weak now, it would indicate that he was actually cowardly, not acting. Time passed slowly. Long Chen stood in the sky. If anyone was in danger, he would immediately go save them. Long Chen didn't mind the lightning that struck his body. It was barely an itch. After being rebuilt by the Azure Dragon Essence Blood, Long Chen's body had reached an unimaginable level. Finally, after 2 hours had passed, the healing warriors were no longer able to endure. Coughing up blood, they had reached their limit. Long Chen suddenly flew over to the healing warriors. A lightning spear appeared in his hand, and with a wave, he blew apart the lightning rain, turning it into lightning mist. Boss, I'll block the lightning rain for you, so absorb as much of the lightning mist as you can. This relates to your foundation in the future, said Long Chen. A person's astral space could continuously grow during this tribulation. But once the lightning tribulation vanished, their astral spaces would solidify. Their future advancements would increase the sizes of their astral spaces based on the size after the tribulation. Based on normal cultivation standards, each heaven stage of the life star realm would increase the size of the astral space by 30%. If a person's astral space was 30 miles wide after breaking through, it would be almost 40 after advancing to the first heaven stage. At the second heaven stage, it would once more grow by 30%. That was why the initial size of the astral space would decide how large it could grow in the future. This would greatly affect their power. This was their chance to get as strong as possible. Don't worry, I'll protect you. Guoran immediately came over, saying that he was helping when he was trying to escape his predicament. Long Chen couldn't be bothered anymore with this shameless fellow. What was to be feared was not someone who was willing to throw their life away, but someone who was shameless. Guoran was already unrivaled in that regard. Using the physical body to endure the lightning tribulation was a way to temper the will. As for using divine lightning, just how rare was that opportunity? But Guoran didn't cherish it in the slightest. However, Long Chen supposed that everyone had their own path. If anyone else is unable to endure it, you can come over, announced Long Chen. He needed to help the healing warriors right now and could no longer be looking after them. Fortunately, not everyone was like Guoran. They knew that this was an opportunity, a stroke of good fortune, a chance to get stronger. This opportunity was something that Long Chen had created for them. From the eastern wasteland, Long Chen had started training them, and the effects of the heavenly tribulation could not be neglected. They cherished this opportunity. They clenched their teeth and bitterly endured. They absorbed the divine lightning and used it to cleanse their bodies of impurities. Seeing the Dragonblood warriors enduring through this divine lightning, one of the original Devil Race's experts sighed. Who knows how difficult it was for the Dragonblood Legion to become the #1 legion of the Martial Heaven continent? They had to have experienced something like this more than once. Their accomplishments are no coincidence. These children are truly ruthless. Being ruthless to oneself is better than being consumed by others. If you want to live with dignity, you have to pay more than others, said Yu Shihan. I wonder how large the astral space of the Sacred Daughter will become? There's no way to say. However, being expanded by divine lightning will definitely make it larger than ours. Yu Shihan smiled. Yu Shaoqian was her daughter and her pride, as well as the hope of the original Devil Race. Yu Shaoqian was standing at the front, enduring the most divine lightning. She was covered in blood, but there was a determined light in her eyes. Yu Shaoqian smiled proudly as well as sorrowfully. If this was a peaceful world, Yu Shaoqian would still be an innocent child living a carefree life. However, this world was not peaceful. The original Devil Race in particular was in a very precarious position. They might be destroyed at any moment. When Yu Shaoqian was young, she was very obedient and worked hard on her cultivation. Behind her growth and maturity was the fact that she had taken up a heavy burden at a young age. Yu Shihan felt sorry for her. Eventually, the tribulation clouds began to shudder and Yu Shihan sighed with relief. That indicated that the tribulation was coming to an end. Shaoqian, attack the tribulation again, said Long Chen. Yu Shaoqian didn't hesitate. A streak of sword chi tore through the sky. Suddenly, the clouds tore open, and a giant thunderbolt crashed down from that tear at Yu Shaoqian. Yu Shaoqian's hair stood on end as a sensation of death enveloped her. Boom! A lightning spear struck the giant thunderbolt, filling the air with blinding light. Long Chen now held a lightning spear, and after shattering the thunderbolt, lightning runes fell amongst the Dragonblood warriors. The Dragonblood warriors were delighted to find that these lightning runes were 10 times larger than the previous ones and many times purer. Boss, this is amazing! Absorbing these lightning runes, they felt their astral spaces rapidly growing. They practically doubled in size. Their delight dumbfounded Yu Shihan and the others. Were they actually forcing the heavenly tribulation to stay behind? They had never seen such brazenness. The void continued to tear apart, and the lightning transformed into giant spears that pierced down upon the Dragonblood Legion. Long Chen stood in the air, with a lightning spear and lightning wings, breaking apart the rain of lightning. The Azure Dragon power is truly amazing. It was worth risking my life for it. Long Chen was experiencing the immense power of the Azure Dragon. The same Paragon arts were now even more terrifying with it. All of Lei Long's energy was concentrated within the spear and wings. As Lei Long absorbed more thunder force, its power also grew. The Dragonblood warriors down below were crazy with joy as they absorbed the lightning runes. This was a completely safe, quick, and painless way of getting stronger. Being with Boss is a fucking blessing. Gu Yang felt like he might cry from joy. The feeling of his strength rapidly growing like this was amazing. Their astral spaces were growing rapidly as they absorbed the lightning runes. The most excited one was Yu Xiaoqian. There had been a shadow left in her heart from almost dying during her tribulation in the immemorial path. However, she had now attacked the lightning tribulation repeatedly and didn't need to fear it. This was another reason why Long Chen had made her attack the tribulation. It was for her to overcome this heart devil. The lightning spears raining down from the sky were like the fury of the heavens, causing the world to shake. However, Long Chen had his own lightning spear that blocked all of them. Suddenly, one of the healing warriors coughed up a mouthful of blood. Cracks appeared all over her body in a horrifying fashion. She herself was also startled, not knowing what was going on. "You've reached your limit. Go rest and don't absorb any more thunder force," warned Long Chen. In the end, people had limits, and she had reached hers. In the next incense stick's worth of time, more and more Dragonblood warriors reached their limit. Some who still wanted to absorb more were shouted away by Long Chen. A limit was a limit. Any more and their bodies would explode. More and more Dragonblood warriors were forced to retreat. In the end, only the strongest experts were left. Meng Qi reached her limit first amongst the top experts. That was already a miracle. As a beast tamer, she hadn't expected to be able to last this long. Others also reached their limit right after her. The one to last the longest was Lu Ruyan, but she also reached a limit. This tribulation had been a stunning success. The fury of the heavens was gradually fading. However, just at that moment, Long Chen suddenly soared into the clouds. "Break!" Long Chen replaced his lightning spear with Evil Moon. A pitch-black saber image tore through heaven and earth. The giant tribulation clouds were split in two. "Damnable heavens, how do you like it?" sneered Long Chen. "Has he gone mad?" Yu Shihan covered her mouth. Boom! The tribulation clouds suddenly merged back fiercely. Booming noises rang out as if the world was roaring. Suddenly, giant lightning beasts began flying out of the tribulation clouds. They were of various forms but were all lifelike. Their power caused the world to shake as if the world couldn't contain their power. Long Chen formed hand seals, and Lei Long appeared behind him. However, suddenly Long Chen became startled as he noticed that Lei Long didn't want to cooperate with him. "Lei Long, stop making a fuss. You can't eat that much anyway," said Long Chen. Surprisingly, Lei Long didn't want to open the spatial channel. It wanted to consume these lightning beasts itself, ignoring whether or not it could even absorb that much that the tribulation was reaching its end. It would quickly dissipate, so it didn't have time to devour them. Although it was unwilling, Lei Long was very obedient. Its body spun through the air, forming a spatial channel. Giant lightning drakes came flying out of that channel. Upon seeing the powerful lightning beasts of the tribulation, their eyes turned red. "Don't say that I'm not loyal. Today, I'll treat you to a feast," laughed Long Chen. "Brother Long, I knew that you wouldn't forget us." Those lightning drakes excitedly pounced upon the tribulation beasts. They were the lightning drakes of the lightning field, and the strongest existences below the Silver Drake King. Back when Long Chen had come to an agreement with the Drake King, they had even helped him gain the Paragon Art. They had also helped him out immensely in the Yin-Yang world. It just so happened that Long Chen could now repay them with this tribulation. These tribulation beasts contained divine lightning within them. That was the most precious type of energy to these lightning drakes. They crazily devoured them. Although these tribulation beasts were very powerful, they lacked intelligence. They only charged at Long Chen because Long Chen's attack just now had provoked the wrath of the heavens, causing the will of the tribulation to turn on him. These tribulation beasts only had one thought, and that was to kill Long Chen. They ignored the lightning drakes until the lightning drakes had already coiled around them. By then, they would just be devoured easily. "Lei Long, lend me 90% of your energy, and send 10% to devour the lightning runes." After saying that, Long Chen raised Evil Moon. Lightning surged along Evil Moon as he slashed it toward a tribulation beast. The divine power of Lei Long and Evil Moon combined. The tribulation beast was blown apart into divine lightning runes and then devoured by Lei Long. Before Lei Long was even finished devouring those runes, Long Chen had moved onto the second. With Lei Long and Evil Moon working together, it was easy for them to kill the tribulation beasts. Brothers, hurry up. Time's almost up. Long Chen saw that the tribulation clouds were growing sparse. By this time, any further attacks against them would be useless. He had exhausted all the power of this tribulation. If it was just one person undergoing tribulation, then there would have been little chance for even the five-colored tribulation lightning to appear. The reason the tribulation had so much energy was because there were over 10,000 Dragon Blood warriors undergoing tribulation together. All the energy had now been forced out by Long Chen, and the energy of the heavens was fading. It could not punish Long Chen. The lightning drakes frantically devoured as much as they could. Sometimes, the tribulation beasts would be half devoured and still charge toward Long Chen while the lightning drakes moved on. It was easy for Long Chen to kill those stragglers. Only half of the tribulation beasts had been slain, but the tribulation was already starting to fade. The tribulation beasts began to return to heaven and earth. Suddenly, a silver claw stretched out of the channel, and a silver ripple spread, blowing apart those tribulation beasts. A large mouth then came out of the channel and devoured those lightning runes. The Silver Drake King had come. Long Chen, how could you not call me? The Silver Drake had attacked through the channel and taken the lightning runes. The channel that Long Chen had made this time was too small to fit it through though. Why did you come? Long Chen was startled. Long Chen, you had best give me an explanation, raged the Silver Drake King. It was speaking spiritually, so others couldn't hear. How could I possibly call you over something so tiny? This kind of snack shouldn't interest you. That's why I only invited your little brothers, and I'll invite you for the real feast later. Didn't you notice that this isn't even my own tribulation, it's the tribulation of my brothers? Only once I break through will there be a real feast. Hee hee, to tell the truth, I'm a bit worried that your stomach isn't big enough, said Long Chen. Are you telling the truth? Questioned the Silver Drake King. I disdain lying. Long Chen frowned. Cough, then it was my mistake. Now it's a bit awkward, said the Silver Drake. It really is a bit awkward. This little bit is barely enough food to get stuck between your teeth, but it's a good piece of meat to your brothers. As the boss, you can't be selfish, said Long Chen. Then what do I do? The Silver Drake King didn't know what to do now. It would be a blow if it admitted it was stealing food from its brothers. Fine, I'll help you. However, you have to help me when I need it too. Long Chen didn't give the Drake King a chance to reply before announcing, how dangerous. Just now, the divine lightning beasts were about to fade away, but fortunately your king came to capture them in time. Quick, go back. Your Dragon King is going to share the divine energy with you. Due to the Dragon King attacking, the channel is about to reach its limit. I really envy you for having such a good boss. Long Chen seemed to sigh emotionally, giving a thumbs up. His words were very brilliant. The Drakes naturally had no idea if they were true or false. They immediately became grateful to the Drake King. Many thanks. The Drake King expressed its thanks to Long Chen before leaving as well. His conning ability was unrivaled and had given it face. The tribulation disappeared and the lightning channel faded. All the energy of the tribulation had been spent, and the Dragon Blood Legion's people had absorbed as much as they could for a perfect advancement. Quite a few corpses were floating on the surface of the sea now that the tribulation was over. Those corpses belonged to the sea demons that had been near. Due to the Dragon Blood Legion's tribulation descending suddenly, some of the weaker ones hadn't had time to flee. Let's go. Long Chen waved his hand, and everyone went over to the spatial channel that Yu Shihan had already summoned. They returned to the skyscraping world. All of them were excited enough to shout. Most Life Star experts only had astral spaces around 100 miles wide at the start. Even rank 9 Celestials would only have around 300 miles. The astral space contained one's world energy, but usually those below rank 9 Celestials were not qualified to actually use their world energy. That was why the Dragon Blood warriors were able to easily slay Life Star experts while in the Soul Transformation realm. Those Life Star experts were usually only around the level of rank 7 or 8 Celestials. Those experts had not managed to catch the Great Era, and their cultivation bases had reached their limits. So those life star experts were not able to compare to today's heavenly geniuses. As for the Empyreans who were called heavenly geniuses, their astral spaces would normally be around 3,000 miles. Only at that level was it possible to bring out the full potential of the world energy in their astral spaces. In the Yin-Yang world, the army of life star Empyreans that had charged over was so powerful because they were able to control a bit of their world energy. However, since they had only recently advanced, they could only control a bit of it. This was why Hualayan was so terrifying in comparison. His realm had already stabilized at the first heaven stage of life star, allowing him to control his world energy. If Long Chen hadn't obtained the Azure Dragon reverse scale, he would have been crushed. No one knew how large Hualayan's astral space was, but right now, even the weakest healing warrior had reached an astral space of 30,000 miles. The Dragonblood warriors had all achieved astral spaces over 100,000 miles, with some reaching 150,000 miles. As for Gu Yang and the captains, they had astral spaces 300,000 miles wide. However, one person was so monstrous that their astral space was almost 1 million miles wide. That was Yu Shaoqian. When that news spread, the original devil race was overjoyed. Gu Yang and the others were a bit upset by this immense difference, but Yu Shihan explained that it was due to the special cultivation technique of the original devil race. It had nothing to do with talent. The one to benefit the most from this tribulation was Yu Shaoqian. She even had a deeper understanding of the profound spirit Tao scripture after experiencing this tribulation. Many areas that she hadn't understood were now clear to her. Long Chen told everyone not to care too much about the size of their astral spaces. That was just a portion of the power of the life star realm. There was something even more important, which was awakening their manifestations. Only upon reaching the life star realm was it possible to awaken their manifestations. However, that would require comprehension and luck. The tribulation had ended, so Yu Shihan found a secluded place for them to enter seclusion. They had to stabilize their realm first. Long Chen also didn't laze around. He went to the ancestral land of the original devil race and took out a mountain of medicinal pills. Opening his mouth, he activated the divine ability swallow the heavens, devour the earth. Those pills were like a flood entering his stomach. Runes lit up on his stomach, forming a foundation. This was the divine ability of the dark evil dragon race. Hua Long had been refining pills constantly, giving Long Chen a giant stockpile. Now it was time to use it. Let's see what heaven stage I can reach now. Rumbling sounds rang out within Long Chen's stomach, like a volcano was erupting. Endless energy flowed through him. Long Chen's stomach was like a bottomless abyss. Runes flowed within his stomach, transforming the medicinal pills into immense spurts of energy. Millions of medicinal pills were transformed into streams of energy that spread throughout Long Chen's meridians. After absorbing the Azure Dragon essence blood, even the swallow the heavens, devour the earth divine ability has strengthened. Long Chen was pleasantly surprised by this effect. The transformation of the Azure Dragon essence blood went far beyond just his physical body. Long Chen, I find that my dark evil dragon race's divine ability matches you perfectly. You should consider devouring other life forms like the dark evil dragon race. That would allow you to get stronger even faster than devouring medicinal pills. Evil Moon couldn't help interjecting. The devouring divine ability that Long Chen was displaying was even more effective than it was in the dark evil dragon race. If Long Chen was willing to devour other experts to get stronger, he would have even better prospects. Having such a powerful divine ability used on just medicinal pills was a waste. That's all right, thank you. Long Chen directly rejected the idea. After all, he wasn't a cloud-chasing heaven-swallowing sparrow. He couldn't rely on eating people to live. Long Chen's spiritual yuan suddenly began to roil. He felt like a furnace growing hotter and hotter. So quick! Long Chen was startled. It had been less than 15 minutes, but he felt himself be on the verge of breaking through. Boom! Long Chen's aura fiercely surged as he advanced to the 10th heaven stage of soul transformation. Boom. An incense stick's worth of time later, he advanced to the 11th heaven stage. Too fast. Long Chen was excited but also stunned. This kind of rapid advancement felt refreshing. An hour later, he once more advanced, reaching the 12th heaven stage. As his aura broke through, it began to grow stronger and spread out of his control. The void rumbled and the ancestral altar shook. I've already reached the Great Circle. Long Chen pushed himself to keep going. He wanted to advance to just before the 13th heaven stage, the point where he would be right before breaking through to Life Star. The void rumbled as Long Chen's aura grew more and more violent. The last 3 heaven stages of the 9-star Hegemon body art are always the strongest. I can't even control my own power. Long Chen's gaze was sharp. He actually had an urge to become the ruler of this world. It was like he was to be the ruler that all others would have to look up to. Anyone who defied him would be mercilessly annihilated. His killing intent also surged out of his control. One scene after another appeared in his head. People cursing him, people slandering him, people framing him, people hunting him, all those scenes floated through his mind. He suddenly let out a howl, his killing intent erupting. His head became murky. After an unknown amount of time, Long Chen woke up. The back of his head hurt, and when he touched it, he found an egg-sized lump. "Evil Moon, did you hit me?" demanded Long Chen angrily. "You needed to calm down. Just now, you were almost bedeviled," said Evil Moon. It truly had been forced to attack Long Chen just now. Due to how long it had been with Long Chen, it was able to strike Long Chen before he could sense it. The 9-star Hegemon body art is too domineering. It doesn't allow anyone to betray its will. I've suppressed it for so long that now it's erupting. Long Chen was grave. Thinking of everything that had happened just now, he felt uneasy. You're too weak, but there's no way around it. You have things holding you back, so being unfettered is impossible for you. You always have to think of others, while true experts are not tied down by such things. Continuously suppressing it won't work. The longer you suppress it, the harder it will be to control when it erupts. You have to learn how to release this pressure and find your own domineering side. Otherwise, you will sooner or later be consumed, said Evil Moon. Long Chen nodded. Everything he had was given to him by the 9-star Hegemon body art, but as his cultivation base grew higher, he felt uneasier as if the 9-star Hegemon body art was gradually taking control of his mind. He was forced to resist the 9-star Hegemon body art, and that was not a good thing. Evil Moon was correct when it said that this kind of resistance was not a solution. He had to find some way to release it. Long Chen lightly punched the air. As he did so, his spiritual yuan burst forth, unleashing a giant fist image. The energy follows the will. There's no need for me to circulate my spiritual yuan in advance. The great circle of the 12th heaven stage is truly powerful. Long Chen smiled. This feeling of being filled with strength was delightful. However, at the same time, he felt an urge to roar at the heavens. That urge was suppressed. He needed to stabilize his realm, or this power would cause his mental realm to become violent. Congratulations. You're just one step from advancing to Life Star. At this moment, Yu Shihan walked over gracefully. Aunt Han. Long Chen hastily bowed. In front of others, he would call Yu Shihan the race leader as an expression of her status. But in private, he called her Aunt Han. After all, she was Yu Xiaoqian's mother and his future mother-in-law. First calling her aunt then mother was definitely right. As for Yu Xiaoqian's father, Long Chen had always been stifling that curiosity. He had never seen Yu Xiaoqian or anyone else raise this question, so he wasn't in a good position to ask. He had no idea what his future father-in-law was like. Your aura can easily harm other people's souls like this. You should rest for a few days until you can control it better, said Yu Shihan. Perhaps Long Chen didn't sense it, but Yu Shihan clearly felt a sharp, domineering air coming from Long Chen that was attempting to invade her soul. If weaker experts were present, they might be injured just by his aura. This was the aura of the 9-star Hegemon body art, wild and domineering, not differentiating between friend and foe. Any disciples below the Life-Star realm wouldn't even dare to get close. Long Chen nodded. That was what he was planning. He had to first stabilize his realm before anything else. "Aunt Han, how is business going on the Martial Heaven continent?" asked Long Chen. Long Chen had been sending over more and more heavenly Dao fruits ever since the immemorial path, allowing more and more of the original devil race's disciples to walk on the continent without being found. They had started several businesses. To increase the profits, Long Chen had even proposed creating a black market business. Yu Shihan smiled. It was because of the heavenly Dao fruits that the original devil race finally had a chance to gather resources on the Martial Heaven continent. The skyscraping world was lacking in many resources, and they had been barely holding on before. They hadn't even had the ability to open channels to the outside world. Long Chen's arrival had completely changed the original devil race's fate. They were now conducting business on the continent, buying the resources that they couldn't obtain from the skyscraping world, which greatly increased the cultivation speed of their disciples. Even geniuses would be crippled without resources. That was the power of money. The business was doing very well before. We accumulated a great deal of wealth, and by working together with the Huayan sect, we gained many resources. However, close to half a year ago, we received pressure from various areas. Our black market business has become more difficult to conduct, with greater danger. We encounter violent customers, and our profits are shrinking, sighed Yu Shihan. Why didn't you tell me this before? Long Chen was startled. Seeing her expression, he said, "Were you embarrassed? We're a family, so that's hurtful." In truth, Yu Shihan felt that such a minor matter wasn't worth troubling Long Chen over. They should have been able to resolve this issue on their own, but there was no effect despite their best efforts. After pondering for a moment, Long Chen said, "Half a year ago would be around when the various large powers began to secretly collude. They temporarily put aside their own enmities, so naturally the black market will become less efficient. That's the time when Pill Valley made agreements with those sects and when the plan for the Yin-Yang world started. Just what kind of trump cards does Pill Valley have to make all those opposing powers join together against the Martial Heaven Alliance?" Long Chen frowned. Pill Valley's announcement this time was clearly a bit rushed. There had to be something. The leaders of the large powers wouldn't join hands without certain benefits and assurances. They wouldn't attack an enormous existence like the Martial Heaven Alliance for nothing. Long Chen also thought of the words Luo Tianji said right before dying. He had barely gotten out that there was something behind Pill Valley before being killed. Just what was behind Pill Valley? Long Chen smelled danger. Seeing Long Chen in thought, Yu Shihan smiled and shook her head. After being isolated from the continent for so long, we're not skilled in this kind of scheming. Yu Shihan felt helpless in the face of Long Chen's suspicions. After all, the original devil race was united and didn't rely on dirty schemes. Compared to the Martial Heaven continent's experts, they were much purer. Aunt Han, pull back all the disciples of the original devil race in the continent. I feel like Yu Xiaoyun's plot this time is on a much larger scale. Perhaps his goal isn't just the Martial Heaven Alliance. We should focus on safety first. As for the resource collection, I will think of something. I already have quite a few good things that you can use. There shouldn't be any shortage of resources, said Long Chen. He was unable to see through Yu Xiaoyun's plot. Yu Shihan nodded. Then I'll give the order right now. They can probably all be back in 5 to 7 days. Long Chen immediately shook his head. That's no good. Any large-scale movements would be too conspicuous. Who knows how many eyes Yu Xiaoyun has on the continent? We also don't know if their actions are to startle us into action. Any large-scale retreat would probably be falling right for his trap. We have to retreat without causing any noise at all. All right, then I'll send some people to do it immediately. Yu Shihan nodded. In just a moment, 2 elders walked in, but they came to a sudden stop when they saw Long Chen. The domineering aura being released from Long Chen made their hearts pound. Yu Shihan passed down Long Chen's orders. Once they were gone, Long Chen said, Aunt Han, are there any movements on the Martial Heaven continent lately? The current Martial Heaven Alliance is extremely tense, like a taut bow. Yu Shihan told him that after killing Huo Lieyun's physical body and erasing their spiritual marks to escape Yu Xiaoyun's hunt, the entire continent was shaken. In the Yin-Yang world, Long Chen had led the Dragonblood Legion and the Martial Heaven Alliance's disciples to slay over 2 million of the greatest geniuses of the various powers. Then they had faced off against over 30 Nether Passage experts, and Long Chen had even slain the Vice Island Master of Heavenly Fate Island. Then there had been a confrontation at the gates of the Martial Heaven Alliance, throwing the continent into chaos. Even an enormous entity like the Martial Heaven Alliance had been forced to the extent that they had to expel Long Chen. Who else in the world could contend against those powers? As for the matter of Pill Valley accusing Long Chen of colluding with the original devil race, no one actually believed it. This was the same old story of the boy who cried wolf. Pill Valley had tried using the same excuse to capture Long Chen multiple times now, but they had never brought out any real proof. This time was the same as there was no proof. People were already numb to this action of Pill Valley. They even felt that Pill Valley couldn't even come up with something new to be novel. They just used the same excuse over and over. Even once he was hunted down by countless experts under the pretense of this excuse, Long Chen was still capable of slaying Huo Lieyun's physical body and bringing his people away without the slightest harm. The entire continent now had an arrest warrant out for Long Chen. His picture was pasted throughout the streets of every major city. Apparently, Pill Valley was offering 10 half-step divine items and 10 billion spirit crystals as a reward to someone who offered up Long Chen's location, and they would guarantee their safety. 10 half-step divine items and 10 billion spirit crystals? Damn, I should just give myself up. Long Chen jumped. Pill Valley was truly willing to pay up. Speaking of which, there's something funny that happened recently. Your good brother, Mo Nian, apparently made quite a bit of money thanks to this matter. Yu Shihan laughed. What? In order to express their sincerity and provide more motivation, Pill Valley displayed the reward for others to see. Mo Nian disguised himself as you, and somehow in front of everyone, managed to take the divine items and spirit crystals before escaping on the Earth-splitting divine shuttle. Even a dozen Nether Passage experts were unable to stop him from leaving. I heard that 2 of them coughed up blood from fury. Yu Shihan felt a bit of admiration for Mo Nian. To be able to take something away from a dozen Nether Passage experts, the name of the Western wretch was well-deserved. His disguise was apparently perfect. If it hadn't been for the Earth-splitting divine shuttle, no one would have recognized him. This fellow actually got rich just like that? Next time I see him, I'll make him split the reward for using my name. Long Chen also laughed. This fellow Mo Nian was truly talented. Thinking about Mo Nian's style, Long Chen could imagine the infuriating words he had tossed out at that time. That was why 2 experts would cough up blood. However, the current Martial Heaven continent is mostly in turmoil. Everyone has to be on guard. The Corrupt Path, Ancient Races, Ancient Family Alliance, Shen Beasts, and even the Bloodkill Hall are running rampant as a display of power. They'll beat whoever they don't like, saying that those people are part of your group, and they'll even kill them. Most cultivators don't even dare to go out anymore. As for Heavenly Fate Island, it is currently saying that the Martial Heaven Alliance's destiny has come to an end to shake the hearts of the righteous sections. More of them are siding with Pill Valley, sighed Yu Shihan. Long Chen nodded. Yu Xiaoyun is ruthless and ambitious. When he acts furious and unable to control his emotions, it's an act to trick us. No matter how things went, it was within the margin of error, allowing him to benefit the most. As for Heavenly Fate Island, it's an extremely special existence on the continent. Some foolish people view them as gods, thinking that they really can read the future. How laughable. Just let them make noise for now. Once I'm fully recovered, I'll definitely properly slap their faces. Long Chen had a disdainful smile on his face. Heavenly Fate Island had continuously gone against him, and they were a great threat. Although they couldn't really read the future, they had some skills which had resulted in them almost costing him his life several times. Their debt to him had been accumulating for some time now. 2 days later, Long Chen came out of seclusion. His realm hadn't fully stabilized yet, but he couldn't keep waiting. The Dragon Blood warriors were starting to come out of seclusion. Haha, I have a feeling like I'm completely unrivaled. I want a good opponent to test myself, Gu Yang laughed. His confidence had grown after advancing to the Life Star realm. Then why don't you go challenge boss? Asked Guoran with a chortle. If you always talk that way, you won't have any friends. Gu Yang deflated, shaking his head. No matter how arrogant Gu Yang was, he wouldn't dare to challenge Long Chen. Even if Long Chen was still in the soul transformation realm, Hua Lion hadn't been a match for him. Meng Qi, Chu Yao, Tang Wan'er, Yu Shaoqian, Lu Rian, and Cloud had gathered. Tang Wan'er in particular was excited at this feeling of having her power grow so much. Boss, didn't you say we should go directly for the first heaven stage? Why have you called us out again so early? Asked Li Qi. Because there's something that's bothering me. Furthermore, directly charging to the first heaven stage might leave behind a slight flaw. Since that's the case, let's slow down a bit. Everyone, come with me to search for Wild. It just so happens that we can slay some powerful magical beasts as well. Those are useful to me, said Long Chen. The last time he was in the skyscraping world, Wild had charged into another world. He was supposed to eat until he was satisfied, but he actually ended up getting lost. Even after all this time, there wasn't any news of Wild. Although Long Chen knew how powerful Wild was, to say that Long Chen wasn't the slightest bit worried about him would be a lie. Wild's head was too simple. Everyone stood in front of a spatial channel, and it was fully stable unlike before. Yu Shaoqian explained, many of the magical beasts have been killed. Not only was it a good tempering for our warriors, but we also obtained quite a few resources that we could trade with the Huayan sect. Now, we've already begun searching through that world, gradually going deeper. We're looking for any valuable ores or resources that we can gather. However, we've just started our exploration of that world, so we don't dare to go too far. My mother told me that we have to be careful. If this world has some terrifying existence inside, disturbing it could bring calamity to the original devil race, so we must be careful. That's also why we haven't found Wild yet. Long Chen led the Dragon Blood Legion into the channel. The endless tide of magical beasts had vanished. There were hundreds of Life Star experts guarding the other side of the channel. Seeing Yu Shaoqian, they all bowed. Seeing dozens of grand formations arranged on this side, Xiaoqian said, establishing all of this must have cost quite a bit of money. We hesitated a long while before building them all. It was a gamble to see if there were any valuable resources here. If we win, we'll be rich, but if we lose, we'll have lost years of income. Yu Shaoqian bitterly smiled. Don't worry about it. I have plenty of money. My money is your money. Long Chen smiled. With the primal chaos bead, he had a bottomless pit of money. Suddenly, in the distance, the earth exploded. A group of disciples of the original devil race fled over, a large pack of giant figures right on their tails. Not good, it's a 12th rank magical beast. Quick, activate the formation, shouted a Life Star expert of the original devil race. When a powerful 12th rank magical beast appeared, the disciples would lead them here and kill them with the formations. No need. Using your formation will waste more spirit crystals than that magical beast is worth. Xiaoqian shook his head. Guoran had summoned his golden armor. Transforming into a golden shooting star, he shot toward the magical beast. A little 12th rank magical beast also dares to get arrogant? Guoran unleashed a giant saber image at the magical beast. There were 7 disciples of the original devil race fleeing. They were originally 10, but 3 of them had been slain by that magical beast. The magical beast was a white rhinoceros, and it was like a galloping mountain. The ground rumbled and ruptured because of it. Guoran's saber ruthlessly slashed into its head. A powerful shockwave spread, and the rhinoceros was sent flipping through the air. However, Guoran also suffered. He was knocked back into the distance. The rhinoceros let out a furious roar. Its horns suddenly lit up, and a white light shot at Guoran. Guoran's about to suffer. Long Chen's lips curled as he watched Guoran go all out to block. The white light passed straight through Guoran. A layer of white rock had covered him as he had been turned to stone. He was still in his defensive posture. After landing this attack, the rhinoceros charged toward Guoran to smash him apart. However, a flash of sword light swept through its neck. Its head went flying and blood soaked the earth. Yu Zifeng slowly sheathed his sword. After advancing to the Life Star realm, his attacks were even sharper and faster. He could one-shot a 12th rank magical beast. Cracking sounds rang out. Guoran was still floating in the air as if he had been fixed there. His statue was shaking, and faint cracks spread along it. Eventually, the layer of stone on him blew apart. "What happened?" asked Guoran in confusion. "You don't feel shame asking?" That white rhinoceros was a full moon stone rhinoceros, and its divine ability is able to transform its enemies to stone. Even if you didn't recognize it, how could you not sense those spatial fluctuations? You just took its petrification ray head-on. "If you were alone, you would have been smashed apart," scolded Long Chen. "Sorry boss, I got a bit arrogant." Guoran was ashamed. After advancing to the Life Star realm, he felt 12th rank magical beasts to be beneath him, and he thought that he could crush it with pure power. Although Long Chen usually didn't bother with everyone's fighting styles, he was very strict with their battle attitude. They could not get careless. That could be a fatal mistake, so Guoran hastily admitted his mistake. Long Chen snorted and didn't say anything else. Such a low-level mistake was truly a bit infuriating, but he couldn't criticize Guoran too harshly. He reached out and tossed the white rhinoceros's corpse into the primal chaos space. The black soil devoured the corpse, unleashing plentiful life energy that nourished the withered world trees. However, a single 12th rank magical beast's corpse wasn't enough to cause too much of a change. The 7 disciples immediately thanked Long Chen and the others upon being saved. Yu Shaoqian asked them how they had encountered a 12th rank magical beast. It had to be known that it had been a long time since they had seen a 12th rank magical beast in this region. There had been 12th rank magical beasts before, but they had been slain by the elders of the formations. Now that 12th rank magical beasts weren't seen very often, the original devil race had begun spreading and exploring more of this world. Reporting to the Sacred Daughter, "We met with a sudden attack 21,000 miles southwest of the 7th Transportation Formation," answered one of the disciples. The original devil race had set this place as a base as they explored further. In the relatively safer places, they had established some small transportation formations. That saved them quite a bit of time. Using the channel as the base, they searched further and further. This squad of disciples had been searching unknown territory beyond the 7th Transportation Formation. "Let's go take a look." Long Chen and the others stepped onto the transportation formation. However, it wasn't a large formation, so it could only fit 500 of them at once. They would have to go in batches. The formation runes lit up, and Long Chen found himself standing atop a mountain. This transportation formation was situated in a mountain range. Once they were there, Cloud transformed into her true form and brought them flying away. As soon as Cloud started flying, they were unable to see anything clearly. Cloud was too fast, and their vision was unable to track anything. They could only use their divine sense. Having advanced to the 11th rank, Cloud had grown larger, and her body now emitted a primordial aura. This advancement had greatly increased her power. Before this, she had only been able to refine a portion of the blue-eye peacock's essence blood. The majority of it had been sealed and stored inside her body. After advancing, she had managed to refine and absorb that stored energy. In the blink of an eye, Cloud appeared at the location that had been specified. Here there was a lake. Cloud returned to human form. Yu Shaoqian looked at the marks on the ground and said, "This is definitely where they encountered the magical beast. This lake's fluctuations are a bit strange." "Let's go take a look," said Long Chen. They had just approached the lake when the earth split open. A ferocious mouth flew up at them. However, that mouth had just opened when Lu Rian waved her hand. Branches shot out, binding the mouth tight. "What a big serpent!" exclaimed Guoran. This serpent had some strange bark-like patterns on its head. Half its body was still hidden in the ground. "Get out here!" Lu Ruyan pulled and the earth shuddered. The ground split open, and a giant magical beast was pulled out. "What is this thing?" Startled cries rang out. Originally they had thought that it was a serpent, but it was actually a giant tortoise with a snake-like head. Suddenly, its shell lit up and rays of divine light shot out like heavenly swords. Their hair stood on end. Long Chen shot into action, smashing the giant shell with his fist. The shell was blown apart, and the rays of light crumbled. This strange tortoise actually died from having its shell broken. Long Chen tossed it into the primal chaos space. This tortoise wasn't that far from where the white rhinoceros had been. 12th rank magical beasts to be so close to each other was definitely not ordinary. This made Long Chen think of the circular mountain range in the Yin-Yang world where many magical beasts had gathered. Little Snow was currently being nourished in the egg at the center of that mountain range. This might be a land of treasures. "Everyone be careful. Guo Ran, you lead the way," said Long Chen. Guo Ran jumped, thinking that he was being punished. "Boss, I was wrong. Stop messing around. You're the one with the best luck, so if you lead, we should find the treasures faster," interrupted Long Chen. If Long Chen was the one leading the way, they would definitely run into trouble. Hearing that he was taking the lead because of his luck, Guo Ran immediately swaggered to the front. Surprisingly or unsurprisingly, Guo Ran didn't encounter any problems. They bypassed a 12th rank magical beast and it didn't attack them. It seemed to be slumbering. Long Chen was speechless. The existence known as luck was truly difficult to explain, but Guo Ran was leading them through a peaceful path. They quickly arrived at the edge of the lake. Yu Xiaoqian bent down and touched the water with her hand. After sensing it for a moment, she said, "This water really is strange. There are some fluctuations of divine energy. It's very gentle and can be directly absorbed by the body. However, I don't know why this is the case." Even the erudite Yu Xiaoqian wasn't sure of what was going on. Long Chen scooped out a bit of the water and sniffed it. He then tasted it. This water contains a kind of mineral. If it is consumed over a long time, it can strengthen the bones and flesh. However, there are too many impurities, and it is not suitable for human bodies. It seems these 12th rank magical beasts are here because of the water. Maybe the reason why they were able to advance to the 12th rank is because of this water. So these surrounding magical beasts aren't here to attack the skyscraping world. They're defending their own territories around this lake. What we should do is investigate this lake's secrets. After all, this water is useless to us, said Long Chen. He turned to Guo Ran. "Boss, just tell me what you need and I'll do it. I won't shirk from a mountain of blades or a path of flames," guaranteed Guo Ran. "All right then. Put on your armor." Immediately, Guo Ran regretted his words. He had a bad feeling, but he had said his big words. Guo Ran had only just put on his armor when Long Chen kicked him in the butt, sending him flying out. Like a skipping stone, Guo Ran bounced across the lake, eventually plummeting into the water. "Long Chen, what are you doing?" Meng Qi and the others cried out in shock. "It's fine. I'm just testing his luck. If his luck is really good, just this kick of mine should settle things," said Long Chen with a chortle. Suddenly, a golden light flew out, and Guo Ran was now holding a golden rock. He excitedly cried out, "Boss, I found the treasure." Everyone became petrified. So even this method could work. Guo Ran flew over, clutching a golden stone. Would this little fellow be trying to con me? Even Long Chen was startled. His kick had actually just been for Guo Ran to remember not to get arrogant, or he might lose his life. "Boss, look, this is Scarlet Blood Essence Gold. It's a divine ore that can be used in forging divine items." Guo Ran's eyes were blazing. Even his voice shuddered with excitement. Everyone couldn't help but jump. It really was a treasure. The ore that Guo Ran was clutching was like gold with blood veins running through it. There was a faint divine energy coursing through it that was a bit similar to divine items. Yes, it's definitely Scarlet Blood Essence Gold, and this ore is extremely pure. You could probably refine 9/10 of a tael of the scarlet blood essence gold from a 3 feet square block of this ore. Is there more below? Asked Yu Shaoqian. Yes, it's a huge ore deposit. I just grabbed a piece and immediately came to report it, said Guoran. Boss, I can create divine items with this ore. You can actually forge divine items? Long Chen was startled. Just a bit. Guoran was smiling brightly, but he actually acted low-key. That appearance made others want to kick him. Long Chen was truly shocked. It seemed that the ethereal crafting secret record Guoran had obtained in the Jiuli secret realm had truly shocking origins. It even included divine items. Although Long Chen was extremely disappointed in Guoran when it came to cultivation, when it came to forging, he was only filled with admiration. If Guoran was acting like this, then he was definitely confident in creating divine items. Even Long Chen was getting excited. The Dragonblood warriors had already advanced to Life Star, but only a portion of them had divine items. Moreover, most of those divine items also weren't weapons that they were suited to. In the Yin-Yang world, many divine items had been destroyed in combat, while the survivors had mostly fled. They hadn't gained very many. If Guoran could create a matching armor and weapon that was on the level of divine items for each Dragonblood warrior, wouldn't they be able to flip the heavens? More and more Dragonblood warriors arrived from the transportation formation. It was only a moment later that they were all gathered. It seems we've really struck gold this time. Guoran, well done. Long Chen patted Guoran's shoulder. Now, Long Chen believed that Guoran's luck was truly monstrous. It's all thanks to boss's nurturing. Guoran said humble words with the least humble expression. Everyone move out. Form up 10-man groups led by squad leaders, and eliminate the magical beasts in the surroundings. But be careful. These magical beasts have advanced to the 12th rank thanks to this lake. Some of them possess strange divine abilities, so don't be careless, ordered Long Chen. Yes. The Dragonblood warriors' eyes lit up. Their power had grown so much that they were itching for some powerful opponents to test it against. They spread out along the lake. Very quickly, roars began to ring out. As expected, many 12th rank magical beasts were hiding in the vicinity. Long Chen, isn't it a bit dangerous for them to split into 10-man groups? Whispered Yu Shaoqian. It's fine. 10 people is already very safe. These magical beasts were originally only at the 11th rank, and they relied on this lake water to break through to the 12th rank. However, their bloodlines aren't very good, and their divine abilities aren't very strong as a result. They're a level below 12th rank magical beasts that advance to that level thanks to their bloodline and talent. Even in a 1-against-1, I believe the Dragonblood warriors would be able to challenge them. As long as they aren't as careless as Guoran, there will be no problem. And there's no one as careless about their life as Guoran in the Dragonblood Legion, said Long Chen. Boss, I was wrong. Guoran raised his hands in surrender. He knew that Long Chen was still angry about his previous display. Seeing this, Long Chen hoped that he would finally remember this lesson. The Dragonblood Legion was rapidly spreading throughout the surroundings, and rumbling rang out in the distance. Their fights were extremely intense. Boss, should we go help? Probed Guyang. Can you grow up a bit? Are the captains really interested in fighting over other people's prey? Scolded Long Chen with a smile. It's not fighting over prey. Seeing them fight just makes my hands itchy. Guyang scratched his head. The others laughed. Guyang was saying what they were all thinking. Having advanced to the Life Star realm, they all wanted to know just how strong they were. However, Long Chen's meaning was clear. These weren't very powerful 12th rank magical beasts, and they would be left to the ordinary Dragonblood warriors as training targets. They weren't for the captains. Shaoqian, does the original devil race have the ability to refine ores? Asked Long Chen. Yes, we do, but that's limited to ores on the level of ancestral items. We also have the tools to refine material on the divine item level, but they've been wasting away for countless years. I don't know if anyone is still capable of using them, said Yu Shaoqian. The original devil race had declined from their peak, and they had barely been able to scrape by. Furthermore, what were they supposed to refine while they had been blocked from the Martial Heaven continent? Whatever they refined couldn't be sold. As a result, the original devil race had been stuck in a vicious negative feedback loop. Many of their old inheritances had been lost. Refining ores was expensive and required investment. Even the current original devil race that was recovering couldn't quite refine this ore. Hee, as long as you have the ability, it's fine. I'll think of something, said Long Chen. More and more magical beasts were startled awake. The Dragon Blood warriors were slaying them one by one. These magical beasts were quite a bit weaker than 12th rank magical beasts that had advanced thanks to their powerful bloodlines. Hence, the Dragon Blood warriors were able to kill them in just a few exchanges. In the 10-man squads, some of the members didn't even get a chance to fight before the target was slain. 2 hours later, 2,300 12th rank magical beasts had been slain. The battle spoils went to Long Chen's primal chaos space. The immense life energy had made the world trees flourish once more, and the yin-yang immortal grass on the edge of the black soil had grown larger. It was filled with life and death energy. However, for some reason, the yin-yang immortal grass didn't possess the slightest spirituality. There were no signs of it growing a consciousness like the yin-yang immortal grass in the yin-yang world. It seemed that raising a yin-yang immortal grass like that one wasn't possible. However, it could still help him out. After the surrounding magical beasts were killed, Long Chen ordered the few water elemental warriors of the Dragonblood Legion to suck away the lake water with their magical arts. As the water level dropped, it revealed a giant mountain at the bottom. That mountain looked like it had been made of gold. Guoran hadn't lied. There was a giant mineral deposit here thousands of miles wide. There were also dozens of magical beasts that had been hiding in the water, but they were slain as soon as they were exposed. Once the silt at the bottom of the lake was cleaned up, they were looking at an impressive golden mountain. We're rich. This ore deposit is huge, and this is just the tip of the iceberg. Based on the terrain, at most, the part that's exposed above ground is just half of the total deposit, said Yu Shaoqian excitedly. Once this news was sent back to the original devil race, her people would definitely be overjoyed about it. Just the value of this one mineral deposit far surpassed the price of establishing the spatial channel and the grand formations. Even if they didn't gain anything else, they had profited. Shaoqian, alert the seniors of the original devil race. It would be best if they established a transportation formation right here. Don't worry about saving money. Our time is more precious, said Long Chen. All right. Yu Shaoqian sent a message to the original devil race. Some elders should quickly be rushing over. Guoran, you stay behind. Work together on excavating and refining this ore. Give me an estimate on how long and how expensive it will be. You're an expert in this regard, so I trust you, said Long Chen. As expected, this bit of praise revitalized Guoran. He solemnly said, Boss, go in peace. I'll handle things here. Are you cursing me to die? Long Chen glanced at Guoran. I misspoke. I definitely didn't have that intention, Guoran apologized. Fine then. Everyone else, continue with the previous arrangement. Stay in your 10-man squads and spread out. You have compasses that are locked onto the spatial channel, so you won't get lost. If there's anything suspicious, mark it down and alert the higher-ups. Make sure to be careful, said Long Chen. The Dragonblood warriors hastily flew off, spreading in every direction like a flood. Long Chen didn't give them any direction to go, so they could run wherever they wanted. No one knew where Wild had run off to. Whether or not they could find him was up to luck. We should go as well. Each one of us will go in one direction. Hopefully we can find Wild. Long Chen picked a direction. Lightning wings appeared on his back, and he shot away. Meng Qi, Chu Yao, and the others also chose their directions and flew away. Long Chen didn't see any signs of intense battle as he flew through this world. Wild's battle style was completely different from magical beasts, so it should be easy to tell if he had been somewhere. Only once Long Chen had been flying for a while did he find that this world was lacking any civilization. There were no advanced life forms here. Magical beasts ruled this world. He encountered quite a few 12th rank magical beasts that blocked his path, but they were all killed by him. The magical beasts in this world were much more concentrated. Hence, even 12th rank magical beasts only had a tiny bit of territory. Some of the weaker magical beasts were forced to roam on the edges of the more powerful magical beasts' territories. The spiritual qi in the air is very dense. The earth is fertile enough to give rise to spirit grasses that can raise so many magical beasts, but it hasn't given rise to a food chain collapse. How curious! In any world, there needed to be an equilibrium. The big fish ate the small fish ate the worms. He couldn't comprehend how this world was able to maintain its order when there were so many powerful magical beasts present in such close quarters. The further he went, the stronger the magical beasts became. Although they were still at the 12th rank, there were immense differences in their level. For humans, the Nether Passage realm was split into 4 stages: the initial life and death realm, the life realm, the death realm, and the samsara realm. The difference between these 4 levels was immense. Of all the experts that Long Chen had encountered, the only ones he knew that had reached the 3rd step, the death realm, were the Grand Elders of the Martial Heaven Alliance. As for the 4th realm, the samsara realm, he knew of no one who had reached that level. However, Long Chen did guess that the High Priest was a legendary existence at the peak of Nether Passage realm based on how he had so easily resolved Yu Xiaoyun and the old man's attacks. However, that was just a suspicion, and he couldn't say for sure. As for 12th rank magical beasts, their ranking wasn't as clear, but the human race had also divided them into 4 levels. They were split into the early, mid, late, and peak stage 12th rank magical beasts. Usually, their bloodlines decided their limits. Some magical beasts would never be able to advance past the early 12th rank due to their bloodlines. The magical beasts he saw as he was flying were still all at the early 12th rank. But even though they were still at the early stage, their actual combat power was increasing as he went in deeper. Perhaps this world has a terrifying existence in control of it. No wonder Aunt Han doesn't dare to go openly explore it. Boom. Long Chen was in the midst of thinking when a giant flame sphere shot at him. Hence, he unleashed a punch, blowing apart the flame sphere. As soon as he did so, a giant mouth swallowed him. The mouth had just closed when a saber image pierced its head. Long Chen cut off the majority of this giant head. A giant figure fell to the ground. It was a lion in golden fur. The explosive flame golden lion. Long Chen was startled. This magical beast was quite famous for its power. For its fur to all be a perfect golden color, it clearly had quite a pure bloodline. Hesitating, Long Chen decided not to throw it into the primal chaos space. Its hide was a luxury item that could be sold for a great profit. Such explosive flame golden lions were almost gone from the Martial Heaven continent. He could sell it for a tidy profit. Consuming it for life energy would be a pity. He had just flown away when he suddenly noticed a giant lair on a mountain. There were 5 furry fellows lying inside. Young ones. Long Chen was delighted and immediately flew over. A giant cave had been dug into the mountain, and a giant hideout had been made out of bones. The smell was difficult to bear. 5 explosive flame golden lions were lying inside, and they were sound asleep. Each of them was only a couple dozen meters long. I found a treasure. These 5 explosive flame golden lions would definitely possess great killing power if they were raised properly and fought alongside their masters. Long Chen placed them inside a life ring. They were still too young to resist. Amazing! They're much more impressive than the blood pattern lion vulture that Guoran and the others had found before. And it just so happens that Guoran, Gu Yang, Li Qi, Song Mingyuan, and Yu Zifeng can each have one. Long Chen smiled. He could already see the day when they raised them into powerful beasts. Furthermore, with a beast tamer like Meng Qi present, they would be raised perfectly, with special resources that would stimulate their bloodline. They would be much stronger than if they grew up in the wild. This truly was a good place. Long Chen suddenly had a thought. What if he could find each Dragonblood warrior a powerful 12th rank magical beast as a steed? Just how awe-inspiring would they appear then? Long Chen continued onward. He didn't know if the 5 explosive flame golden lions had ended up using up all his luck or not, but he didn't encounter any particularly powerful magical beasts again, let alone young ones that could be captured. For 3 days, he continued flying, and the magical beasts started to grow sparse. Long Chen gradually began to have a bad feeling. He smelled danger ahead. He was about to continue carefully exploring this region when he suddenly took out a jade plate. Wild's been found. Long Chen didn't care what danger was ahead. He returned down his original path. When he arrived at the ore deposit they had found, he saw millions of experts from the original devil race busy excavating the ore and bringing it to the skyscraping world. "Boss, we found Wild's whereabouts, but we've run into trouble. Wild's being chased down by some terrifying monster and is in a critical situation. These are the coordinates." One of the Dragonblood warriors immediately gave Long Chen another jade plate upon seeing him. "I understand. You continue waiting here for the others." Long Chen nodded and rushed off in the direction indicated by the jade plate. He was flying as fast as he could, but it was a full 12 hours before he arrived at the coordinates. Wild was nowhere to be seen. Instead, all Long Chen saw was a ruined battlefield. Sensing the surroundings and disarray, he suddenly flew to the left. After an incense stick's worth of time, he heard intense rumbling sounds coming from in front of him. The ground was shaking intensely. Once he was closer, he saw a giant figure. It was actually a giant pitch-black ape. It had thorn-like fur and a pair of golden eyes. There were runes flickering within its golden eyes. It held a bone club and was crazily roaring. In front of the giant ape, Long Chen saw Gu Yang, Li Qi, Song Mingyuan, Yu Shaoqian, Lu Ruyan, Chu Yao, and over 2,000 Dragonblood warriors. Everyone was rushing over here as fast as possible, but the others were still on their way. Behind them, Long Chen saw Wild, who was covered in blood. His original robes were nothing more than tattered rags, so he was wearing a beast hide. He held a giant bowl and was crazily eating from it. The bowl held 12th rank magical beast corpses that had been shrunk down. Wild was scarfing them down like a hungry wolf. Boom! The giant ape's bone club smashed down, and Li Qi and Song Mingyuan's earth giants were blown apart by that one attack. Both of them were forced to hastily block with divine items. As a result, their divine items also exploded. The two of them let out a muffled groan as they were sent flying. Even after advancing to the Life Star realm and gaining control of a bit of world energy, they were unable to block that ape's attack. The ape's bone club once more smashed down, but wooden stakes suddenly shot out of the ground like pythons, binding the ape. At the same time as Chu Yao took action, Lu Ruyan unleashed waves of branches that were like chains, also attempting to bind the ape. The ape suddenly roared and a savage aura erupted. The runes in its eyes lit up, and Chu Yao and Lu Ruyan's bindings were blown apart. "How is this possible?" exclaimed Chu Yao as she fell back. Just why was this giant ape so powerful? Suddenly, a black light sword pierced down from the sky. It accurately struck the giant ape right in the head, but the giant ape was only knocked back a bit. That attack barely caused it to bleed. The ape was enraged, and it swung its club through the air at the Cloud chasing heaven-swallowing sparrow that had just come. Cloud twisted through the air, narrowly avoiding this attack. Meng Qi called out, "Everyone be careful. This is a golden eye berserk ape. It's an ancient species, and although it's a magical beast, it's incredibly powerful. There are already 3 golden spots in its eyes, meaning it has advanced to the late 12th rank and is comparable to Death Realm Nether Passage experts. Its bone club is also very strange and possesses its own divine abilities. Even half-step divine items will be smashed apart upon contact." As a beast tamer, Meng Qi even knew magical beasts that only existed in legend. Hearing that it could match Death Stage Nether Passage experts, everyone jumped in shock. No wonder it was so powerful. "Sister Meng Qi, what is its weak spot? How can we beat it?" asked Chu Yao. "It has no weak spots. We have to take advantage of while it still hasn't gone berserk to run. Cloud can swallow us again and dash. Watch out." Just at this moment, the golden eye berserk ape grabbed its giant bone club with both hands, and divine light lit up on it. That light enveloped Meng Qi and Cloud. In that instant, they were shocked to find that they couldn't move. The golden eye berserk ape roared and smashed the club at them. Wild put away his bowl, shooting out like a bolt of lightning at it. However, just as Wild shot out, an evil air filled the world. A black saber slammed into the Bone Club. You're tuning in to the Passion Pages YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.